Hello and welcome back. Camera, bottom of the screen. Reasons, well, up here. And hello and welcome back to Laura and Feelgood Friday with Our Life Begins. Always, we have 5 moments before summer ends, so we are looking at these. 2 DLC, 3 non-DLC, and this time, because I did it last time and no one responds, you know what I have to do? 6. So, I did get Hound's input slightly prior to this, and he suggested grown up runaway, so I'm going to do it odds. Even it's grown up, odds it's runaway. Simple and either way, we're going to get through both of them. Sometimes how you get through them can matter because you can reference back to other things when you're looking at, basically, like, I could reference something from, say, Ghost in a different scene. So it can matter. And it can also change how the gameplay goes. It's kind of good, so. That is a 2 on the dice, which means it is an even, and as noted, even was grown up. So we're gonna start here. Let me put on my narrator voice. One sweltering summer day, you were in your living room, listening to the sounds of the birds chattering outside the window while you lay across the rug. Cove's dad had dropped him off earlier, and your moms had left the two of you, along with Lizzie, to play amongst yourselves. It had been too hot to go outside in the afternoon, at least according to Mom. So your sister was starting to get impatient waiting for her golf lesson. The 3 of you had trouble finding something fun to do. The beach and the playground were off, and you felt that it was way too warm for anything like playing with your fuzzy fan. Then, suddenly, a light came to Lizzie's big brown eyes, and her smile spread wide across her face. Having an idea gave her a new wave of energy. She was sassy, but super. Since we're stuck inside, we should be the adults. They don't play outdoors anyway. They're always inside and telling everybody they're too busy to play.
Why? Duh.
I said why, and it'll be fun. Duh. What do they do inside? Oh, besides you. Exuding a small huff, Lizzie decides to ignore it.
What do you think?
Valeria, what do you think? Do you want to? Oh, said it. That doesn't sound like fun. Something else. I don't know where I want to. I personally don't know. I don't know if I played like grown-ups. But again, Please, Valeria, when have I ever had a bad idea? Or we... I wasn't asking you! Hey, I'll stay. You know, try to keep the chill. I hope this is as fun as your promise. Lizzie looked at you, deadly serious. It's the most exciting idea I've had. Satisfied that neither of you were about to bail on her, Lizzie thought over her options while you, after a few seconds, clapped her hands together and beamed at you, apparently having settled on something without asking.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna be a professional golfer. Valeria, you and Cove can be a beach volleyball player, a gymnast, or a tennis player. Can't we pick anything we want? Because if I have a fun idea, that's why. And we have to play sports. Yep. There's other kinds of sports too.
Right?
It isn't the same. What do you think, Valeria? Don't you know those choices sound super cool? You want to be that, huh? I mean, I could argue gymnast, you know? I'll argue gymnast. Sounds like fun, and I've played tennis before. It wasn't bad. I've played volleyball before. It wasn't bad. So, you know, fair enough. I kind of like those. Lizzie beamed at you. Happy at least one of you. Oh yeah, which one sounds the best to you? Out of my list still. Cove was not impressed with that, though he didn't bother talking more about it for now. You thought over the list of possibilities: beach volleyball, gymnastics, or tennis. Out of all of them, you prefer to play... I'm gonna guide. I'll just do basically a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sort of thing, where 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3. So, gymnastics. I'm fine with it. Gymnastics are fun. If you couldn't spend the afternoon doing cartwheels and handstands in the backyard, then you might as well practice them inside. There wouldn't be as much space as there was, but you could still try. That's a recipe for just cartwheeling. Or like, cartwheeling and knocking. That is entirely. Yes, that was clearly. Okay, I'm gonna be a gym.
All right.
Like, if they say it and I can completely understand it, you know what? Hold on. The voice is just a little bit. How about you, Cove? Pick volley. Should have known. Okay, so Valaria, you're a famous gymnast, and Cove, you're on a popular beach volleyball team, and Lizzie's ponytail bobbed when she proudly stretched her arms wide. We're Olympic athletes who just competed in the Olympics. Which, speaking of, the Olympics have just recently ended at this point, I believe, or are ending? I'm pretty sure they ended, but either way, they were so good this time. Ah, so good. Cove didn't seem all that impressed with the announcement. He made a face and adjusted glasses on his nose. Really specific.
Rude.
That's what makes it fun. Anyway. Lizzie marched back and forth in front of the both of you, getting lost in her imagination. I won all the gold medals, and people are calling me the next Mickey, who is apparently a very, very famous golf. Speaking of, who's that? Lizzie stopped on the spot and turned on him, her brown eyes shining with patience. It doesn't matter if you know who she is. It's a golf thing. You guys won medals too. Cove, your team was bronze, and Valaria, you barely even done in the gold and got silver. It's more real if we all don't get first place. No. Silver sucks. I don't want silver. I'm okay with that. Hey, we can do better than silver. Silver's not bad. Nice. You stayed silent. Honestly, I can do better than silver. If I'm allowed my imagination, I can do better than silver. You pouted at Lizzie, unhappy with it. Valaria's right.
Sorry.
Lots of people lose the Olympics, them's the breaks. Then you're the one who did, not me. Lizzie looked taken aback by Cove's declaration, as though the thought of her losing was No way! It wouldn't make sense. I'm already practicing my golf game. She took a golfing stance to make her point, pretending to swing her club and hit an invisible ball. I don't think there's golf. Maybe she should do golf. So what kind of house do you want to live in? Cove hadn't changed his mind about winning, but thinking about where he'd live felt appealed to him. Because he looked back at Lizzie with some anger, the anger fading. I'm gonna live on the beach. Lizzie made a face at him, poking at her tongue. That's kind of boring. We already have that. No, not like the normal houses with a street. On it. Right on the sand by the wall. Just like that. All the tension. You hadn't even had a chance to choose where you would want. That's not very fun or smart, Cove. You can't live on a beach of sand and shells. But I want to. Will. Cove narrowed his eyes at Lily as she stood half a head taller. You didn't give out a list of things to pick from. So I'm picking that. Why are we even playing pretend if we can't imagine any?
Jeez.
Jeez, well, I'm gonna live in a mansion far away from here and far away from you. One with an indoor pool and a place to practice my award-winning golfing.
It's not fair.
How come you were yelling about mine when your idea is even more impossible? Lizzie's face flushed red, her hands falling to fists at her side. It is not possible, and it's better than yours. Disagreements always seemed to crop up when the two of them were together, and you always felt like you were stuck. But when it came to the topic at hand, this time you thought you prefer a mansion, being on the beach was cooler, you wanted to agree with Lizzie, Cove's right. You were you know what? No. One's my sister, and one's like going on BFF. Hey. You didn't engage with their bickering, instead dreamt up your own dream house. And you knew you weren't gonna share your idea with them either. You already knew. You can swim wherever you want if you live on the beach. We can still swim anytime we want from where we live now. Being a little closer doesn't mean anything. Says you. The two of them scowled at each other. You're being so unreasonable. You... I don't get what you want. This game doesn't make sense.
Ugh.
It does. You have to be realistic. I said that. But you're not. You had no idea what to do to make them stop at this point. It seemed like the two of them would just keep working each other up as long as they could. Nothing you'd said so far had kept them from being mad. Thankfully, like a greeting hurt angel, Mom walked in. Lizzie rushed to her, hanging onto the hem of her shirt and poking out her tongue at Cove. Lizzie, Valaria, it's time to get ready to go.
You alright with that?
Sorry you have to leave early, Cove. Their mommy said she'll walk you home so you won't be left in the cold. Cove was still glaring, face flushed with red. I can go by myself. But...
Bye.
Bye, Valaria. It was still a harsh edge to say farewell, but you knew it wasn't you. Without giving Mom a chance to stop him, Cove stood up and stalked out of the shoulders drawn tight. Which, but if you, like, when you bring your shoulders back, huh? I did a lot of baking yesterday. Okay. Worried, Mom turned back to look down at you. You two were playing nice with our new friend, weren't you? This is the one item, because as someone who is a sibling, sometimes it's easier for the kids to work it out by themselves than it is to... Sorry to all the, siblings out there. Sometimes you take time to adjust. You take one for the team, and then you corner them later and go, now, I covered you. You can do me the favor of being decent to them and apologizing because we want to make sure Mom doesn't get involved. Eat. Uh-huh. It's so fun to play with Cove and Lizzie. Reassured that you didn't rat her out, Lizzie flashed a smile.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. We're both good hosts in this house.
Nice.
That's what I like to hear. We'll have to make sure he comes over again. Lizzie smiled. Oh, right. We'd better get a move on.
Let's go.
Let's go, kids. Nolani, where did you leave the car keys? That's Mommy's name, by the way. The one with the pretty, really cool, skin. She's got, this really, really beautiful, olivey skin tone and cute hair and really, really, dramatic eyes. That's Nolani. So she's the other. This is Pamela. I love it. And technically the last name works, because they're Pamela and Nolani. Here. Mom hustled you all out the door, and you noticed during the car ride to golf practice that Lizzie was quieter than usual. She was usually the first one to request what music to listen to in the car, but she didn't say a thing. Your parents noticed she wasn't bothered. They gave her space, and Mommy just asked you what you would like to listen to. I'm gonna do a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 roll. 3 again. I rolled it another time just to make sure. Okay, it rolled a 1. Like, I'm trying to make sure that, friggin' text. No, just 4. But either way, I'm okay with that. A soundtrack to a cool movie you saw a couple months ago. We're 8. It's the equivalency of your kid wanting to, listen to the Frozen soundtrack over and over and over again. I get it. Eventually, Lizzie came around and started singing along with you. She acted like she was grown up most of the time, but you knew she liked it. I don't like Frozen. I'm in double digits. When the car ride was over, you spent the twilight hour watching Lizzie hit things with other girls her age. You didn't know much about golf, but you could tell that she really liked it. So you sat with your moms and tried to puzzle it out. It was nice sitting outside after being cooped up in the house all day, and you stretched out your legs to let the last few minutes of sunlight get. I'll stretch. Testing. Yeah, Jim. When the sun was finally out of sight, dipping behind the horizon, you all got ready. Instead of going straight home, your moms took the family out to dinner. You went to a restaurant you had all been going to since you could remember. The whole afternoon had been a bunch of shouting. You hadn't been able to stop, but you could kind of tell that all this helped Lizzie be less angry. With Lizzie in a better mood, the car ride home was much more fun. The two of you took turns picking the radio station while your mom spoke quietly. Enough, Mom was turning onto your street, then reversing into the driveway. Once she cut the engine, the 4 of you got out of the car and the house. That's fair. On the street that they have, the fact that they have to is actually nice. Baggy. Mommy went to the walk. While Mom left to go change, you and Lizzie stayed downstairs in the living room. You were about to head to your room when she stopped you, motioning closer to bed. You listened to her. She craned your neck around, expecting someone to pop out of nowhere, scare her. Then turned. Lizzie crossed her arms, peering intently at you. Thanks, Valeria. I couldn't say it before. If you said Cove got all mad, Mom would have gotten mad too. If you thought back to earlier that day, the argument Lizzie and Cove had and how Mom... You're well. Honestly, I'm gonna go with this one just because, to me, it's the most appropriate. You're welcome. You should still try to make up with Cove. I would instantly hurt. Why should I do that? It was his fault, and it doesn't matter anyway. Cove was really sad because of what you... Lizzie sputtered before tilting her chin away from you and answered. He didn't do anything. He just can't play right. Mommy always says that you should apologize if you know you upset someone. And you did. She groaned at your word, throwing her head back dramatically. But you knew your sister. You could tell that she... Okay. I'll tell him I'm sorry the next time I see him. She glanced back to narrow horizon. But you still can't tell Mom or Mommy about what happened. Alright. It's a deal. Looking relieved, Lizzie promptly left to go upstairs. You watched her disappear from view, hearing the faint sound of her bedroom door shutting soon after. You were pleased at how Lizzie agreed to apologize to Cove. Meant soon they'd be okay with each other. As okay as Lizzie and Cove could be. The best part that your parents hadn't found out you had gone away with, which sometimes you need to do between siblings. You retreated to your own room with a spring in your step. One more down. think I have a D. No, I'll do runaway. I'll do the other one, suggesting that I can roll from. It was early, and you were on your way to the playground. Lizzie planned on joining you there late. You weren't sure what she was busy with right now? Older kid stuff, you imagine. That was okay. What was the forefront of your mind is if Cove might be too. As you walked the familiar street, wondering how you might find your neighbor, he appeared right in front of you, almost as if he was a mind reader. Hi, Cove. Can you come to the playground with me?
No.
No, sorry. Cove looked strange in the area. It had to be an even bigger deal than whatever mystery thing. I'm leaving. What? Where? He shifted and your gaze was drawn to the backpack slung over his shoulder. Cove liked to stuff things into his pockets from what, but people sometimes carried bags. It hadn't been very attention-worthy until now. The pack was decorated with cartoon waves and dolphins. He gripped one of the pack straps tightly. Good hand. I just wanted you to know. Cove didn't glance up and meet your eyes. You started to grow worried. 1, 2, 4. Well, that's it. This I have D10. Woo. Same order, you know? 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up. So 5. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh. He didn't react. It was as if you hadn't said anything. I'll come back though, sometime. I don't know when, but we can do stuff then. He directed a fragile. Without another word, Cove turned on his heel and started to walk away. I have so many. As one of them. And I grab it. I got on a D4, on a Caltra, I got a 3. So, wait! He kept going. His focus wasn't on you anymore. What was that about? Watch his back grow smaller and smaller, and you realized that you were still standing in the middle of the sidewalk. You thought about your earlier plan of playing at the park. Suddenly it didn't seem as fun anymore. Not without Cove. But it wasn't like you could force him to play with you. He had things to do. Oh no. We're just... It's not as fun, you know. You could play at the park some other time. It wasn't like it was going anywhere. You couldn't bring yourself to leave like that. You didn't move from your spot. You just continued to look on quietly. It didn't take long to realize that he was just going up the street. You were positive there was nothing good out there. Not the park, beach, or the store street, or his house, or anything. He was new. He might not know what you did. You jogged down the street to catch up with him. You slowed down once you reached his side. He glanced at you from the corner of his eye and frowned. Go away, Valaria. I just wanted to say you're going the wrong way. There aren't any places the way you're going. His mouth twisted further. Her shade torn. I'm still going. Why? What are you doing? Walking. But why do you have to walk that way? Cove let out a deep sigh. You got the feeling that he was starting to get mad at you. I told you, I'm leaving. I'm gonna be gone for a while. Let's do an E. You can't. Why not? Cove came to a sudden stop. You almost kept walking ahead of him because you were expecting. My dad doesn't know. If you come, you'll get in trouble when he finds out. He felt a knot. You're not supposed to be leaving? His expression was grave. Dad isn't home right now. I left him a letter, so we won't get confused when he gets back. You can't tell anyone about this, okay? You can pretend you never saw me. Nope. Sorry. That is the first thing I learned, both as a sibling and as a good friend. If someone is doing something like this, you tell an adult. You're 8. You tell an adult. No. I have to tell someone. No, you don't. It's a secret. You shouldn't go places like that on your own. What if something bad happens? But I said I'll be fine. He must be mad because his voice grew louder. He probably thought that you wouldn't tell on him. Sorry, Cove, but I'm gonna tell my moms if you go. It's not a good idea. Cove's face turned bright red. His hands tightened into fists at his side. I'm never telling you anything ever again! With that, he stomped away, continuing down the street anyway. Please don't go. You thought about chasing him and then changed your mind. Cove was too upset to listen. Instead, you turned in the other direction, towards your home. Your moms would know what to do. When you saw your house, though, the car wasn't in the driveway. They'd gone out someplace already? You raced to your front door, trying the doorknob. It was unlocked. You went inside, calling out for your parents. Mom? Mommy? Panting for breath, you waited. There was no response. What did you do now? The more time you wasted, the farther away Cove would get. You didn't even know where he was going. But he did say he was leaving. And Cove hadn't gone down the street because that led to the ocean. Gone up. You knew that road. It led to the main part of town and kept going all the way to the end. He was running away from home. Your worry rapidly increased, and you didn't know what to do with yourself. He was really leaving. But Cove didn't know the area well. You didn't think he'd want to go off that road onto some random other side street. So if someone followed that main path, they'd find him alone. You perked up, glad that you'd know at least where he... Even if that didn't solve the issue at hand, your moms weren't home to go get him. You paced back and forth across the living room. Just as you felt your eyes stinging with tears of frustration, the front door opened. Mommy walked in, taking off her sun hat, fanning herself.
Goodness.
Goodness, it's hot out. Then she noticed you. Valeria, back from the playground already? You yelled incoherently, barreling into your mommy in your haste to hug her, stumbled back. What's gotten into... You're home!
It's okay.
I never left, sweetie. I was taking care of the weeds in the back. Those things are persistent. You could just tell Mommy was gearing up to rant about the unwanted plants, just as she did every summer. You spoke up before she could. Cove is leaving town by himself! You watched Mommy process the abrupt shift in conversation. She blinked rapidly, frowning, and then... Cove's what? You filled her in on what happened, recounting your encounter with Cove and what he'd do. Oh no, I knew Cove wasn't happy with the move, but I never expected this. He's running down the big road. It was kind of a while ago that he left. I couldn't find you at first. It's all right. She squinted at the clock and... Mom should be back in... But we won't have the car until... Mommy turned to you, patting your shoulder gently.
Good job.
Why don't you take a seat on the couch for now? Done a good job. I need to call Mr. Holden while we wait for Mom. Once she knows, I can look for... You were still full of restless energy, but you weren't as scared as before. Mommy was here, and soon Mom would be too. Everything would be fine. By the time Mommy got off the phone, a car pulled up in the driveway. Mom and Lizzie entered. Lizzie went upstairs, oblivious to the crisis. Mommy pulled Mom aside. It was so quiet in the house for them easily. Mommy was telling Mom, and Mommy looked at you, ushering you over, and you hurried. Where did you say he'd be again? He's out on the main street? I think he's there. Oh my God. Yeah. Always something when you record. Oh God. I'll get the car and drive up and down the road, see if I can spot him.
All right.
In that case, I'll call the neighbors and we can all look around the neighborhood area, just in case Cove changed his mind and went somewhere else. You watched as Mom picked up the car keys and got ready to immediately... Mom turned back to you briefly, shook her head in haste.
I'm really sorry.
I know you're worried about Cove, but I need you to wait at home with Lizzie. If I find him, I'll bring him right back. You were disappointed, but you nodded. You stroked your cheek, smiling. You and Mommy saw Mama. Mommy closed the door and turned to you. She attempted to weep. Now, can you help us out and stay safe? Yes. Thank you. Mommy put a cartoon on the TV feed, and you snuggled up against the cushion. With that, she left to inform the rest of the grown-ups around so they could in their own. Soon, Lizzie came back down. She was shocked. She asked a lot of. It seemed like she was interested, not only because she was concerned, but also because it was the most exciting thing. Lizzie settled in on the couch. It was so tense that you couldn't even remember what was on. Hello, Jedi Demoness. We are dealing with a small child runaway right now, because, you know, of course. Of course. You know? Maybe you can pick the next memory once we hit that one. That'd be fun. Hope you're doing well. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Testing out earrings tomorrow, and so far they're good. They're just jangling against each other. But your mind was still on Code. Would Mom find him out there in town? Was he actually somewhere else? You didn't have to wait long to find out. Oh, just got home from work. I mean, at least you had, like, an earlier shift, so now you just kind of get to bed. You didn't have to wait long to find him. Halfway through the episode, you heard the front door on. Then it swung open with a shout. We're here! I've got him, Lonnie! Come on in, Cove. You stood up from the couch. Your heart was beating so loud in your chest that you... Mom was putting the car keys. Cove stood nearby with you. You squinted. Cove looked exhausted. Eyes were rimmed, red, nearly matching his glasses, and there were dried tear tracks stuck on them. Oh, thank goodness. You found him. Yes. Yeah. He was on his way down the main street, just like Valeria said. Cove shuffled his feet at that, but he remained silent. You could tell that he... You weren't the only one who existed.
Okay.
You must be tired. You can sit wherever you'd like. Mommy smiled warmly and motioned into the living room. Cove looked up at her. You walked close behind him, frowning. Cove was always pretty quiet, but this was a different kind. The living room wasn't far, or separated by a wall, so you heard your mom's talking softly. You wanted to go see.
Well,
That explains it at least. Still, I'm not sure it excuses. So dangerous to go off and... It's having a hard time right now. You can't expect a child to handle it. True. But that's enough of that. You should tell Cliff and the others here before the panic gets...
Is that all right?
I'll call. Then go to the front. Tell everyone's still out there. You keep an eye on the kids. Make sure they don't make any more trips. Yeah, this is no Lonnie, and this is Pamela, which I love. Got it, hon. Cove just sat there, putting his backpack down beside him. He stared at you. You faced him. I don't want to make you... I don't want to fight. Any opinions, Demon? He's trying to apologize for, trying mad because you were like, no, I'm gonna tell my mom. Like, no, I'm not just going to, follow you or let you go up a side street, and no. Honestly, I think this is probably the best option, Yeah. And you won't do it again? I won't. Not... Okay. I don't want to fight either. Having him apologize did make me feel better. He looked relieved that the two of you were going to be able to get past them. Before you could say anything else, the front door. Your mom was back, with Mr. Holding. He made a beeline for the couch, dazed, trained.
Cove?
Oh God, are you alright? Strands of his hair had fallen out of his ponytail. His eyes were darkened. He'd been crying too. Cove stared up at his dad, his own eyes wide behind the frames of the glasses. He really hadn't... Okay. Good. That's good. I'm so glad to hear that. He clasped his hand on his son's shoulder, attempting a smile, but the corners of his lips twitched spasm. They wanted to frown. Cove seemed to have that effect on him. Mr. Holden turned, still grinning weak. Thanks for your help, that's all. He laughed pitifully.
I'm sorry.
And I'm very sorry for ruining your afternoon with this. I can't apologize enough.
It's okay.
It's no trouble, Claire. Really. It couldn't be helped in some. Something was bound to happen. We're just happy we could help. And that Cove's safe and sound. Not for the first time today, you recalled your original meeting with him. He had run away then too, only not as far as he had today. Cove must have had a similar thought, because he mumbled an apology. But I won't leave anymore, I promise. Some life seemed to return to Mr. Holt thanks to his promise. This time around, his smile was more...
I'm so glad.
That's a relief too. Next time you feel like running off, come to me first, okay? We can talk about it. I'm here for you. Cove nodded. His dad reached out and mussed his hair playfully. Although he made a face, Cove didn't try to dodge the hand like usually. Let's go home. I bet you're as tired as I am. Mr. Holden took over carrying Cove's backpack, still clasping a free hand on his son's shoulder when he stood up from the couch. That man is not gonna let that boy out of his sight for a while. The five of you walked over to the front door so you could see them. Mr. Holden thanked your mom profusely 3 more times. Walked up. Cove was made to, but he stopped and turned to you before stepping through the threshold.
Thanks.
Thanks, Phil.
For what?
Your mom said that you were the one who told her where to get me. It was good that I went there. A tiny smile flitted across his lips, and it was. Do we hug them? If we actually show more physical, like, you know, we hug him and do stuff like that more, it'll actually affect how sociable he later on in his life, and how he actually reacts to others within social ability. So usually I hug him. But like, do we feel like hugging? You know, do we feel like making 8-year-old? I feel I'm gonna make 8-year-old. Before he was gone, you reached over to give him a hug goodbye after a hard day. He held you back more tightly than you could have anticipated, and you almost squeaked out. Glad you're here. His embrace was tight, but brief. He let go as soon as he said what he said. And with that, Cove left. Mommy closed the door behind him, and you were left feeling overwhelmed. Your fatigue must have been obvious because your mom sent you off for a nap with no more discussion on what happened. Once your head hit the pillow, your eyes slipped closed on their own. After the nap, everything else was a blur. Settled into bed for real later that night, in which more moments. You woke up much more at ease than you had felt when you were conscious. It was almost like it was a dream, but it definitely wasn't. Your mom's faces when you saw them assured you that. After breakfast, you were sat down and your family went over yesterday's event in full. They were pleased that you came to them the moment you had an idea where off to. As a reward, your mom's promised to take you and Lizzie out for a treat. It was more than a welcome change from the worry you'd be feeling. I don't know. Free ice cream. Yeah. Okay. Free, free treat. Mr. Holden talked to Cove about what happened. You didn't know what was said, but Mr. Holden forgave Cove immediately. He didn't do anything to punish Cove. He blamed no one but himself. You caught your moms discussing it in hushed tones, frowning at each other. It was pretty serious. There was a word used you hadn't heard. Self-flagellation. You don't know what that means. It means to take all the guilt and burden and blame and hurt onto yourself until it, basically it's those people who whip themselves to feel the pain and the guilt of others. He takes on all of the guilt and the pain of his son and doesn't punish him and doesn't, like, push him because, you know, friggin' it's had to move and parents are getting divorced and he doesn't feel like he can. But there wasn't anything they could do to change Mr. Her neighbors stopped you and Cove often for the next week or so to express their concerns and disapproval of the event. Still, as they always did, days continued to pass, and so did talk about Cove's way. Things eventually returned to normal as they had. Summer kept going, and you kept having experiences that you shared with them. Alright, so I'm gonna ask, do we feel 1, 2, or 3, or am I rolling? I'll roll, but I'm gonna give it a few just, you know, in case anyone wants to, you know, pick. We have shopping, long day, and this one is called sleepover. Those are the 3 we have left. Shopping, long day, and sleep. I'll roll. Someone says something. I'll take what they say first. Alright. Drink. Long day? Alright. Like, we're gonna do all of them, but it's kind of like, what order do we feel like? Long day. It was another scorching summer day, the kind where no sooner had you finished 1 cup of water, you were already filling it up again. Everyone else had something going on, so that afternoon it was just you and Shyla. This didn't happen much, especially since COVID died. Without Lizzie around, Shyla looked to you for all the answers. It made you feel pleased, frustrated, or nothing. Personally, I get frustrated when someone's constantly like, hey, what do you think we should do? Hey, what do you think we should eat? Hey, where do you think we should go? Hey, listen. Sorry. But I can... The pleased is more like if you want to be a middle manager, I feel like someday, or like, you know, have be the leader that, you know, everybody listens to all your advice. This is the introvert answer. This is the ambivert answer. I feel like, you know, we have the 3 phases: extrovert, introvert, ambivert. So, you know what? Since we have no general consensus, I'm gonna take the roll I got on that dice. 6. So super clear. Totally super clear. I promise you it's a 6. So honestly, make you feel anything, really. Shiloh went along with whatever you wanted, so he wasn't a bother, but he also wasn't that much fun. You drained yet another drink and frowned at the empty. Your thirst was gone, but you still wanted something icy cold and refreshing. Something sweet. Something like... nothing. You craved soft ice cream sandwich between 2 cookies. There was nothing like that to be found. You knew that without need. And your moms didn't keep sweets in the house. Ugh. I love it. Honest. Outside, there were plenty of places such goodies came, but they were shops and demanded payment in exchange for products. Inside, you voiced your predicament out loud. You asked Shiloh for help. Might as well just ask. Like, this is just the equivalency of trying to make someone read your mind. Because it's like, oh, what I wouldn't give for an ice cream sandwich. You're not actually asking for their assistance with anything. You're just griping about something and then expecting them to know that you want their help. No, just ask. Shiloh, do you have any money?
Oh, let me check.
That was easy. You felt like you should tell him why you weren't. Thanks, I want an ice cream sandwich, but my moms don't keep any here. Shiloh rummaged in his backpack and proudly produced an assortment of coins, plus 5. Set the button aside and counted the coins in each pile. Just over $1. You announced this to Shiloh. He had almost certainly come to the same conclusion, but he had been watching you. Well, you know what? Start. Shiloh beamed at you. We'll need to find some more.
Okay.
The 2 of you lifted couch cushions, stuck tiny hands down deep crevices in the sofa and under furniture, and scoured the back of the floor. Most of what you found was useless and gross. Bent paper clips, fuzzy wisps of dust, or sandy crumbs, but every so often one of you would strike silver or bronze into the ever-growing pile of coins. I remember doing them. Dusty and disheveled from checking every room. Every tiny. Two of you finished. Shiloh held his breath as $2.53 and 2 buttons. You didn't know where the second button had decided to join the party, but you were too pleased with your successful hold of.
Is that enough?
He figured he knew the answer without looking at your confirmation, but the thrill of your success and the reward that followed canceled out any other feeling bad about that.
Yeah.
You could now afford something at the shops, just one thing, but that was infinitely better than none. Shiloh clapped his hands.
Yay!
The two of you dashed outside. The promise of Sugar Boy buoyed you on your destination where, breathless but happy, you stared at the overwhelming option. You knew what you wanted, but it wasn't just you who had contributed funds to get the trip. He seemed to notice your pause.
Aren't you getting an ice cream sandwich?
Shiloh asked as though he was entirely separate from the decision, rather than someone with a stake in the outcome. Do you mind? Shiloh cocked his head to the side.
It was your idea. You should choose.
I feel like I can share an ice cream. You know? But I personally would try to get something to share, so you know. It wasn't fair for you to be the only one to decide when he'd been a main factor in making it happen. Some of the money came directly from his backpack. What do you like?
All of them. They're so good.
You press further. But what do you really like? Popsicles or ice cream? Which one's your favorite?
Oh, it's so hard to pick. I don't know.
Frustrated, you cut to the heart of the matter. You want me to choose? And that was that. You got the dessert you wanted originally and hoped Shiloh would actually like it too. Finally, the reward for all your hard work was in your hands. You bit the ice cream sandwich, chewy chocolate biscuit complemented the creamy vanilla. You held it out to Shiloh so he could take a turn. He shook his head.
You can finish it.
He didn't want any? After everything he did to help you. It was... We share. Even if Shiloh said it was okay, every story you'd seen on TV, read in a book, said that sharing was caring. You stood your ground, even as the treat started to trickle dangerously close to you. It's only fair that you have some.
We both bought it. But you wanted it more than I do, and getting to play was a lot of fun already, so you can have it. That's more fair.
You held it out to him.
I want you to have some, even more than I want to finish it. So eat your part.
Relenting, Shiloh took the treat and gave it a taste. His eyes lit up.
Thank you. It's really good. Thank you.
You smiled, pleased with your good deed.
You picked the best one.
Did he mean that? Shiloh was always nice no matter what happened. Even if he hated it, you know he would taste it. Maybe he thought it was gross and that was the real reason he didn't want it. But no. You studied him as he ate a little more. He had every appearance of enjoying himself. So weird. The two of you began to head back home. You walked side by side on the shore in silence, but your thoughts kept drifting to the boy beside you. Why didn't he speak up for himself? It was almost as if Shiloh didn't know how to say what he felt, or was too afraid to. Honestly? No? I will give it a second, see if anyone, has a preference. Roll to see, kinda what I'd pick randomly. I know what I'd pick, but if someone else has, I will add, incorporate. So have you figured that was his problem and he didn't care? Are you scared of me? Thought that was kind of sad, and are we friends? So we have 2 questions and 2 internals, and personally I'm an internals person, but 4, you just cut to the heart of the matter, huh, Demoness? Alright. Are we friends? Shiloh opened his eyes wide, seemingly caught off guard by the blunt question. Yeah, I think so. He says that, but friends should be able to talk with each other without being all scared. If Shiloh wouldn't do that, were you even really friends at all? He rubbed his hands nervously over your
I'm
neck.
sorry.
You weren't sure how sorry he could be without knowing what he's even apologizing for, but you shook your head. You didn't do anything. It was true. Shiloh hadn't done something mean. He'd gone out of his way to make you happy. That didn't seem like it should be a bad thing, yet it bothered you.
Just don't know if you like me. It's like it doesn't matter what I do, you're just gonna act the same. I could be anybody and you wouldn't care. No, I like you. I really, really like you, Valeria. I want to be friends.
Okay. You smiled hesitantly at him and his legion, even though you weren't sure if you believed him. It was only making. You decided that maybe there were really all types of friends, and if Shiloh wasn't able to do things differently, this would have to be all right. Shiloh made you unsure about setting a label on the experience of spending the afternoon with just him. There had been good times. There had been confusing. You were positive of one thing. The treat was delicious. Nice. The sun was low on the horizon as you returned to your neighborhood. There, you spotted two very familiar figures up ahead. The income. You opened your mouth to make your presence known to them, just as you saw the tears on Poe's face. You walked straight over Shiloh. Once there, you... I'm gonna say let's ask, because she is our sister. He may be our BFF, kind of. But, like, she's our sister, and I don't want beef with my sister. So I'm gonna argue carefully asking about what happened seems like the best idea. You know, there's times where I kind of have to direct the narrative just a little bit. Without a time machine, the only way you were gonna find out was by asking the witness. Lizzie might have done something, but she could have been in the wrong place at the wrong time, or even come to Poe's aid. You wanted to hear the story. Oh, what happened? Sorry, I got yelled at. He took a deep, steadying breath. Some grandparents got mad at me. Sorry. Lizzie jerked her head in the direction of the dry house. Your heart sunk. The same mean old couple rented out that condo for the summer. You, Lizzie, and Shiloh knew to stay away from them, but Cove wouldn't have. They're like that with everyone. Even your mom struggled to find anything nice to say about, but the elderly pair particularly did. It didn't matter if they were really nice like Cove. You know, sad. Lizzie drew herself up at that. She looked pointedly in your direction.
I was helping. That's cool. Is there anything I can do?
No.
Oh, I'm just gonna stay away.
Or you could teach them a lesson.
There was a devilish glint in her eyes.
What? You should ding-dong ditch them. Go ring the doorbell and run. It'll be great because they're so slow. They'll never catch you.
That's dumb. I don't want to go near them ever again.
You're just saying that because you're a chicken.
Like I said, when they say the line, I let them. Oh, but it didn't take the bait, and Lizzie turned to you.
You're not a chicken, are you?
I kind of wanted so. We gonna ding dong ditch some old folks? We gonna ding dong ditch some old folks? I'm gonna take a sip of tea and then probably ding dong ditch some old folks. We have Yak Cluck Cluck. You'd rather just avoid them. You thought they deserved worse, and I'll do it. This one's entertaining, but I'm just gonna go with.
I'll do it. Really?
You took a deep breath and nodded.
Lizzie squealed with. We'll go hide. Run as soon as you hit the bell.
Lizzie and Shiloh ran across the road to take shelter in the bushes. Even once they settled down, you could make out two child-sized shapes staring. You know where to look for them, so you told yourself that grouchy old people would spot it. Cove sighed, his gaze flicking to the house and back to you. Careful.
I'll be as quick as a flash.
He gave the door, and you, one last look before joining Lizzie and Shiloh in the hideaway. The weight of the 3 pairs of eyes on your back was heavier than anything as you hesitated to reach the doorbell, then you slapped the buzzer and ran. Blood thumped against your eardrums with every step. Would you make it in time? Approaching the hiding spot, you knew there wasn't time to go around the bushes as the others had done. You took a shortcut, leaping over them into the bush. Or, to be more accurate, crashing into the tops of the bushes and falling side. Yeah, that sounds like the accurate. Cove quietly hissed as you unwittingly collided into him. But by the way his arms were out, seemed he had intentionally tried to push you.
Shh, said Lizzie.
As he put a finger to her lips and nodded at the face, disentangled your limbs from Cove and spun around to see the old man framed in the doorway, peering back and forth. You covered your mouth with your hands, but it wasn't enough to stifle your giggle. Maybe he spotted one of you, or maybe it was the leaves you displaced while jumping, but he locked eyes with the bush and stormed over in your direction. Shiloh gasped and then Lizzie.
Run.
Your sister did not hesitate to take her own advice. Shiloh. They got up, but seeing Cove struggling to extract himself and stand up with just the one fully functional arm, you gave him a hand up before taking off after the others. The old man's hollers propelled you all from the street to the sanctity of the hill. Only once you were saved did you notice the stitch in your chest and the ache in your leg. You flopped down, the blades of grass tickling your face. Lizzie, who had taken the lead in the end, was already lazing on the ground. The 4 of you took a moment to catch your breath and enjoy the feeling of the cool grass on your skin.
Cove.
Hey, Cove.
Cove lifted his head. I told you there were mean grandparents around here. Cove rolled his eyes and then decided that this wasn't dismissive enough and rolled his whole body away. Lizzie chose to ignore his response and started chatting with Shiloh, who eagerly joined in the conversation. In the back of your mind, you knew you'd always be second fiddle again to Shiloh once Lizzie came. No? And that was fine. Shiloh could prefer Lizzie as much as he wanted to. There were other things. You wriggled closer to Cove. He had calmed down for the moment. Was inspecting a flower. His fingers pinched the stem and tilted the white petals towards him. That's a poppy. Cove glanced at you in acknowledgement, then back to the flower. And the type of poppies on this hill have the name white linen poppy. Mom told me. He corked a smile. That's funny. He ran a finger around the... It doesn't feel like cloth. You'd need a lot of them. He nodded and released the delicate plant. Tell you. This is my favorite kind of flower, but I didn't know it was called. Thanks. Honestly, I'm a sunflowers girl. So, but I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna roll. So we have those. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. I'll go with this one as 10. I don't want to. So I will. What we get? 8. 1, 2, 7. Want some orchids? Alright, you know what? I will take the advice of the audience. I agree with orchids. Orchids are nice. Like, I love sunflowers, I love snapdragons, I love a lot of these, but orchids, I agree. Orchids. Those flowers are super fancy and comes in all sorts of colors and stuff. Some even pretend to be like bugs.
They do?
Yep, they trick real bugs by looking like them.
Wow.
Not everything, but thanks. You moved onto your back with a small smile. Dark. The blanket of clouds reminded you of a thick throat you curled on a cold drink. He wondered if the clouds would be off. They lazily floated on by, splitting from each other, merging and morphing into shape. Alright. Dolphin, car, alpaca, smiley face, cloud shapes. I like the alpaca just because how often do you see an alpaca, you know? But like, dolphin could be. Smiley face is classic. Haven't done cars are a little bit more like, I like the. Yeah, I know. I'm being super indecisive. I like being super indecisive if it means other people can take it. So, I'll roll a d8 because I'm not doing cloud shapes. Sorry. I got a 4. So, car. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ta-da! Logic. Guess I get to try the car route this time. You saw a car. You saw a boxy car driving through the sky. You nudged Cove and pointed to. Doesn't that look like a car? Cove joined you in skywards. Not really. Hey! Chuckled at action. Rude. Looks like a car. All the sun's light faded from the sky. The moon rose higher. Lizzie got to her feet, dusting strands of grass from her bare legs, and surveyed her surroundings. The ocean, visible from the crest of the hill, beckoned with every. Let's go to the beach! There was no argument from the other two. Shiloh was still Shiloh, and Cove would never say no to the shore. He was a child of the sea. You wanted to go there too, so you eagerly joined the others in ascending the hill. You stepped onto the sand for the second time that day, but it felt different. The beach was nearly quiet at this hour. Sand castles, steps in the sand, too big to belong to any of you, were the only indication of how busy you'd been. The 4 of you kicked off shoes and removed socks and walked along the waters, the waves. I wonder what would happen if you tried to take a bath in the ocean with shampoo in it. It would be bad for the fish.
Jeez.
Didn't say anyone would do it. Jeez, you don't have to be so serious about everything. We're the one who asked what would happen. Yes, that is what would happen. It hurt the fishy. I like the bubble baths at home. They're a lot of fun. Me too. Bubble baths are luxurious. You'd never heard Lizzie use them. Mommy loves to have bubbles in her bath. She'll turn the lights off and have candles. I'm gonna do that next time. Hey, when's your mom coming to pick you up? Not for a while. She's busy. What about your dad? Never talk about it. No one does. Don't you know you're not supposed to ask something like that? Why would someone want to talk about something they never talk about? You kept your eyes on the ground. It's swallowed up by. Even if Shiloh never seemed upset when this topic came up, it made you feel awkward or happy. It's okay. I'm like Lizzie and Valaria. I don't have a dad. But I don't have 2 moms. I just have the one. She's really great. Oh, sorry. I only have one now, too. My mom isn't here. She's back home. It's just my dad with me.
Sorry.
Oh, I never had a dad or anything, so I don't feel bad. It's really sad that your mom is gone. Over. If someone wants to answer, they can, but I warn you, this is. But even if they're all different, our parents are good in their own ways, is a smart one. And then there's just the enjoying the silence. At 5, that's the one I go with if I roll random, but helps if I'm on one. I'll go with even if they're all different or good in there.
Yeah.
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 Cove couldn't muster a response. You didn't think he truly disagreed. The silence was broken with a splash as Lizzie kicked in your direction. Cold water and sodden sand spattered against your legs. Lizzie giggled, foot still outstretched from the kick. Cove joined in, striking the incoming waves to make a splash of his own. Shiloh scurried out of Cove's spray zone. Oh, it is fun, sister. You, Tally. You used your foot to smack the water pooling around you, sending an arc of sea foam flying back onto your sister. You laughed as she spluttered. Some of the salty seawater having landed in her mouth, she spat it out. Lizzie chased you, intent on revenge. Bring it! You dashed up and down the coast, taking it in turns to be the predator and the prey, as well as joining forces to take down Shiloh or Cove. Alliances were silently and wordless. Everything was fair. Shiloh's brief exclamation was drowned out by the biggest splash yet, caused by him falling face first onto the ground. That would have been bad enough without the wave that followed, cascading over his prone body. Shiloh sat up, shaking his head like a dog coming in from the rain as you all hurried over to check on him. His hair was plastered in his head in his soaked clothes cloth. If there was any part of him that was still dry, see it.
That was crazy. Are you okay? Yeah, my foot got stuck and I fell over.
You
Way to go,
dumbo.
Shiloh, you dumbo. Do we offer a hand, or do we just let him do his own thing? I mean, it'd be polite to offer a hand. Let's try. Shiloh didn't take your outstretched hand. After a moment, dropped it. Lizzie was too busy snickering to, and he held out her hand out to Shiloh too. He reached over and slowly he started to pull himself. Then he slipped on the slick sand, dragging him and Lizzie down, just in time for another wave to. The water rolled over.
Sorry.
Sorry.
What were the odds of that happening twice in a row?
You thought they must be low, but there's no way Shiloh would want to do something like that on purpose, then pretend it was an accident, especially not to Lizzie.
Even if your relationship with Shiloh felt it, he did at least like her a lot,
Lizzie was his favorite.
Smiling boldly, Lizzie extracted herself from the ground, picked a streak of sand from her cheek. She didn't intend to let this embarrass her. Shiloh got up again as well, this time without instinct. He still looked like a drowned puppy. That didn't stop Cove laughing at them. With that, it was time to call it. The four of you made the journey back home, leaving a trail of wet footprints, sand, and weight. Damp clothes may have weighed down some of the group, but your spirits were. Your arms swung side to side as the cool breeze. Your moms were outside, shouting to Cove's dad. "We're back!" Your mom's face as they took in the state you were all in, ranging from messy to soaked.
Now,
Elizabeth, is that all you have to say for yourself? You brought half the beach back.
They certainly did. What's Marigold gonna do when she comes to get Shiloh?
Is that how you want him to be for the long drive home? Old and ill?
Lizzie's expression turned sulky, holding. Being the oldest could be fun, but it also meant she was the first trouble in something. Mr. Holden, on the other hand, chuckled as he ruffled Cove's pad. You've been out making memories, Bucko? I imagine you had a good. Cove used his slightly moist cast arm to push Dad on. Mr. Holden's eyes widened when he noticed even that had gotten wet. Now he. I think they could have found a less risky way to spend time and had just as much fun. But Might be right. Kids, what can you do? Come on, Cove, let's go get you cleaned up and dried off. We wouldn't want that cast out. Cove Winston.
Okay.
That a boy. Mr. Holden casually bent down and plucked Cove up off the ground, ultimately holding Cove against him. Sand was already transferring from Cove onto him, but that didn't seem to bother Holden. I had a cat, I'd demonstrate. Cove protested being carried, but only got a reassuring pat on the back.
Take care.
Good night, Cove. Thank you for the talk. Night, Green family, and Shiloh, too. Resigned to his fate, Cove twisted his body into his dad's arms in order to turn around and wave goodbye. Slightly, he waved. Good night.
Fine.
Well, we'd better do what we can to fix you guys up, too. Come on, everybody inside. I want you to march straight to the downstairs bathroom.
Ugh.
Yes, Mom. Okay, Lizzie's mom.
Don't worry about stopping to wet your feet on the mat this time. That won't do much good tonight. Sitting on an old beach towel your mommy had found, you waited in the hall. Until you were less sandy, you weren't allowed to go to your room or to walk around the house. But you didn't get to eat a sandwich for dinner there, so it felt like an indoor picnic. It had been decided that Shiloh would wash first and borrow some of your clothes. He was already finished and packed away in his mom's car. Miss Fields had come to collect him on the island. It was a bit of a funny experience seeing him without that hat. Lizzie, being much more soaked than you, got to go in the tub next. It wasn't a bubble bath as she had hoped. This was a no fun allowed clean up session. That's what she claimed. Not much longer and it'd be your turn. When the bath was done, you'd have to go right to bed. After a day like this, though, you were glad that there weren't going to be any further events. Drifting up to sleep sounded like a night. Two left. Shopping and sleepover. We're gonna do an even odds. Evens, odds, evens, odds. Simple and easy. That's a 1 on the dice. Sleepover it is. We'll finish out with shopping, and then we will end the summer. Figure it out. Because I'm just gonna play.
Okay.
Just keep going, you know? Alright, kids, we're done with dinner. Come to the table. Your stomach grumbled right on time, as if it had heard your mom's words. You halted your game and looked over. Mom was almost done setting the table. She was walking around the mahogany wood, in the process of putting down cutlery. Mommy was still in the kitchen, humming under her breath as she turned off the stove and put empty pots in the sink to wash. From beside you, Lizzie stirred, uncrossing her legs and standing up. She stretched her arms above her. Finally! I'm ready to eat! Then she cast a sly glance in her direction. You recognized them. Last one to the table is a rotten egg! I haven't... But it was too late. Lizzie had already bolted to the kitchen. Honestly, not worth the effort, in my book. I could stay sitting. I could try to catch up. I could yell at her, or I could throw a cushion. And part of me kind of wants to throw a cushion at her, but also... I don't know. We could throw a cushion. No one has any opinions, so you know what? We're gonna throw a cushion at Lizzie. Grabbing one of the cushions from the sofa, you threw it towards her. It hit her in the back of the legs. It was too soft to do anything of real consequence, and she merely brushed the attack off with a scowl. It was a short distance to the kitchen's table. Lizzie managed to get there easily enough, slapping a hand over. Mom moved just before Lizzie could bump it. With an exasperated sigh, she resumed work. It's the... I win again! You didn't win because you were racing by yourself, because you cheated, okay, you won. And you didn't bother trying to talk to her about that. No, you know, she was racing by herself. I threw a cushion, but that doesn't mean I was racing. If I'd gotten up and tried to catch up, then I would have been racing.
You didn't win because you were racing by yourself. No, I told you we were both racing. You're just so slow.
I wasn't racing and you.
That sounds like something a rotten egg would say.
Lizzie grinned, her hands on her hips, then looked over your shoulder.
Cove, you can be the tiebreaker. Was that a real race that I totally won?
You blinked. You hadn't noticed he had been doing what he had been doing during this little event, which wasn't mine. You spotted Cove still on the floor. His legs were crossed beneath him, with the arm with the cast resting in his lap. He looked at the two of you with a slight frown. It felt sort of strange to see him still here.
Tonight, Cove had come to your house for a sleepover. Your moms and his dad had planned it a few days ago.
I mean, do we want to be friends with small boy? You weren't surprised. You were the one who had asked your moms. You were excited when you told you their idea, it was so much to do, or it made you quite nervous. Now, we're supposed to be a little more extroverted, not so introverted, so you know what? We totally asked Mom about having our friends. They had told you they would ask Mr. Holden. You looked forward to it since the moment you found out that he had agreed. And you even helped Mom search the storage room for a sleeping bag and for bedding. Cove pursed his lips at Lizzie's question, but he didn't respond. Maybe he was planning on ignoring her, so Lizzie would make it easy. This wasn't the first time he had been asked. She had asked him to be a referee for her sudden race.
Come on!
Well, did I win or what?
No.
What?
I don't think you.
How come? It's not my fault Valeria's slow. Cheating's cheating and cheaters never win.
You always pick her side!
Cove snuck a shy peek during her.
I pick her and she picks me. You're a couple of rotten eggs. That's enough. Nobody here is a loser or a rotten egg. You're each farm fresh, which is a sentence I never thought I'd say.
Alright.
Now, listen to Mom and come sit at the table for dinner. All three of you.
You and Lizzie obeyed, sitting across from each other at the edge of the table. Lizzie blew a raspberry at you when Mom turned her back. Your parents brought out the last of the food and they took seats further down the table instead of sitting right next to you. Only Cove was out. He had stood up from his spot on the floor, but then made a move towards the kitchen. Cove, you can sit too. Slowly, he eyed the 4 seat to her left. Thanks to the new seating arrangement your parents chose, one free chair was beside you, another next to Lizzie, and the last 2 chairs were the other side from where your moms were sitting. Now, dude, sit next to me. Just fine. Cove's gaze met your gray eye. Smiled. Briefly, he grinned. He walked over, pulled out the chair next to yours, and sat down. You were glad he wanted to sit with you. He just needed to know it was okay. Now that everyone was situated, Mommy began.
Okay.
Begin, kids. A little bit of everything.
Be sure to not avoid all of the veggies.
Ugh.
Yes, Mom.
Each person at the table served themselves. Yeah. He fidgeted with his hands clamped on top of his knees. He didn't seem very comfortable doing stuff in someone else's house. One dish seemed to have his eye at least.
That's pineapple chicken. Want to try some?
Really? Green. By then, your moms had noted that Cove still had nothing on his plate as well. Do you not like any of the food?
Well,
Maybe he hasn't tried Hawaiian food. He hasn't? Wow!
Please don't talk with your mouth full, Lizzie. Lizzie swallowed a bite, she was eating, then she spoke.
He should try it now.
She turned to Cove dramatically.
Unless you want to shrink. That's what happens if you miss a meal. Elizabeth, that's not true. You know that.
Cove squirmed on the fork between his fingers.
Had some things, just not any of this.
Oh, shoot.
Shoot, knew I should have asked your favorite.
It's alright, Lonnie. Maybe he'll find a new favorite today. You weren't so sure about that. Cove didn't look like he was going to be trying any of the food. Anytime. Let your moms handle this. I think you would be... No, you know what? Extrovert.
Give me your plate. Give me your plate.
Cove was a little confused by your request, but he handed it to you anyway. You took the plate from him and piled
Only the best foods on it.
He watched you work intently, his good hand shoved under his leg. When you were satisfied with the amount on his plate, you returned it.
You should like some of these.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Good job.
That was very kind of you, Valaria. Sat up straighter. At first, Cove poked at the food. Clearly he was apprehensive to eat some, but he took a few exploratory bites.
Right?
It's good, huh? Isn't it?
You don't have to keep asking. He still speared more meat with his fork and ate it, chewing thought. Not bad. Mommy grinned at his words, satisfied even though it wasn't exactly a glowing comment. Lizzie wasn't.
You're so weird.
Don't be mean to your friend. We're not friends.
Oh.
Mommy flowered to the face of Cove's blunt honesty. You weren't surprised by Cove's declaration. The more you got to know him, the more you realized he wasn't the type of kid to keep his opinions to himself. She wasn't easy to get along with all the time, though Cove didn't make much of an effort either. You hoped Cove thought of you as a friend, the two of you were friends, right? You wondered how he felt about you. It still made you nervous about your own relationship. At least the two of you were friends. If anyone has thoughts or opinions on anything on the screen, I'm going to take a sip of drink. Give people a second. And then roll a d10 if nobody. Because all of these are okay answers. Like, they all play out in different ways. I got a flat out 10 on the dice, so I am sticking with that unless anyone gives an opinion. At least the two of you were definitely friends. You knew that without a doubt. The way he felt about Lizzie didn't change it. When you gave Cove a look, he returned a small smile, confirming your thoughts. Your mommy looked at Mom and only got a shrug.
No.
Elizabeth,
Don't call someone weird. There's no such thing as weird person or a non-weird person. There's just different perspectives. It's not a nice thing to say to anyone, but Mommy tried to whisper exclusively to Mom, her attempt to be audible, trying to double it, caught the quiet.
you're not friends. He said, as a parent, we can only try, and sometimes we fail. Not all kids will be thick as thieves.
Now, less talking and more eating, kids. You need to clean up and start winding down for bed soon anyway.
But Mom!
No buts. We've talked about this. Your bedtime will be moved back in a few years. For now, you don't get to stay up late. Lizzie sulked, muttering under her breath about how it was right. Laughing at Mom's phrasing, groaning about it, or staying quiet. I don't know. The lack of buts. Do we think no buts? Yeah. Let's be jokey and punny and silly. You laughed at Mom's phrasing. You couldn't contain your snorts. Something the matter, Valaria?
Mom said no buts.
Lizzie scoffed and rolled her eyes, unimpressed by such crude words. Mommy snickered along with you, however. That's right, no buts allowed here. You'll have to get rid of yours.
No, I need it.
The two of you continued to chuckle, and Cove even cracked a smile. Children, I'm surrounded by children. I have 3 of them at a table, surrounded by children. The rest of dinner passed by uneventfully. Cove was silent for the most of it, even when you nudged him and tried to get him to talk. All too soon, the table was cleared, the games in the living room were put away, and you were all steered to your bedroom. Mom finished tucking you in and kissed your brow just as Mommy poked her head in the room. All ready for lights off, you two? You were lying comfortably in your bed, the blanket hiked up under your armpit. You could kick it off later if it got to you. Mom had set up the sleeping bag on the floor for Cove, just beside your bed. He had already wiggled inside. You nodded for the both of you, in response to
Good night.
Perfect. I'll go say goodnight to Lizzie then. Mom tweaked your nose, chuckled when you squawked in annoyance, and left. Mommy took her place, sitting on the edge of the bed.
Sweet dreams.
Sweet dreams, sweetie. You pressed a soft kiss onto your forehead. You giggled as strands of her hair fell forward. Mommy smiled down affectionately at you, then moved her attention to Cove, who watched from his bottom. Do you need anything before falling asleep, honey? What does your dad do? Sometimes he picks me up and lifts me really high, and then he shakes his hands like he's gonna let go, but he catches me again. And then he keeps doing that until sometimes he just drop me on my bed, or other times he lowers me down when we pretend like I'm crashing. Both had become pretty excited when talking about the nightly ritual he and his dad shared. He seemed to realize how animated he was and bashful. But I don't want to do that here.
Aww.
How fun, though I think you're right that it might not be a good idea to do that. Sleeping bag might not be a soft ending. If there's anything else, you can always ask me or Valaria's other mom. I'm the nicer one. Don't tell her that. He laughed good-naturedly and
Take
stood up.
care.
Sleep well, Cove. Night. Leaning against the door jamb, she rested her hand on the light switch and looked. Good night. Sleep tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite. With a last smile, Mommy turned off the lights and stepped out, closing the bedroom door behind her. You listened to her footsteps. But even as the sound vanished, your eyes stayed open. It was so exciting to have Cove spending the night. Cove? Yeah? I'm glad we're friends. Oh, thanks. Me too. You started when Cove sighed deeply. You turned your head to look in his direction. In the dark, you could only see a faint outline of a lump. Cover. Cove? What's wrong? Can't sleep. Why not? He shifted, or at least thought he did. You couldn't see anything since your eyes were still adjusting to the dark, but you heard his sleeping bag rustle. Wanna be in my bed? Cove sat up. His eyes had gotten used to the low light level, so you could see him. Got out of the sleeping bag, wobbled towards your side table, and pulled open the top. What is it? I'm getting my glasses. You sat up too, watching as he reached his side. He paused for a second, then pulled his hand out. Instead of his glasses, though, he was holding a book. Cove turned it around in his hands, trying to figure out the proper orientation for it. You knew it without even reading the title, which that was one your mom's would be. Special. But you were looking for that? I was. Then I felt this. It looks cool. The compliment he afforded your special book had you grinning. Your confusion gone. It is really cool.
Oh?
Oh, yeah? What's it about? It's a story about a squire who wants to become a knight, and there's magic. Does it have any mermaids? No, but I love the character. The squire's really brave and funny. It has cool pictures. Some of them even take up the whole page. Mommy reads it to me. She uses different voices for every character. There's a dragon in it, and crazy things happen. I'll go with, because I'm also using it. Mommy reads it to me. She uses different voices for every character. Some of them are really silly too. There's lots of characters, and they all have good lines, so it's fun. Cove looked excited by your work. He flipped the book over and focused on the backside summary. He must be pretty interested in it. You were reminded of the hours you'd spent hearing the tales. No matter how many times you read it, or had it read to you,
You were still entertained by the story and the pictures inside. You glanced out the window. The moon was high in the sky. You wanted to read that book. You climbed out of bed and padded over to your side. You opened it and rummaged around, pushing aside stuffed toys and crayons. Cove called out to you in a confused whisper. What are you doing? You'll see. You let out a quiet cry of victory. When you found what you were looking for, you jumped back to the bed before any boogeyman catch you unaware. Cove continued to watch. You wiggled your way beneath the blanket you discarded earlier. You pulled it up. Come on, check it out. Bring the book too. After a minute, the bed dipped. Cove got on it. The blanket shifted. It's gonna bite for a second. Sorry. You fiddled with the flashlight and you're feeling the switch. Yeah, it's a scene shift. With a click, the small space flooded with bright light. Cove sputtered, putting a hand up to shield himself from pain. Move it somewhere else. Sorry. You tilted the flashlight so it was shining down towards the floor of your blanket cave and away from Cove's spot. Is that better? Yeah. Now we can read, and my moms won't know. Oh, honey, I was a reader. This all the time. When mom or mommy check on me, I have to hide everything under the blanket, but I haven't been caught before. Do you want to try? Cove nodded. Pleased by a straightforward response, you placed the book between you and flipped it out to the page. Meanwhile, he lay down on his belly and shuffled closer, picking up the flashlight to shine it on the pages. His face was illuminated. You mirrored his position, leaning in so you could see the book better. Your foreheads nearly brushed until you shuffled back. Do we want the story to be narrated, take turns read it silently, or flipping through the pages to show the I prefer 1 or 3, but let us see what. That's a 2. So I am gonna go where you wanted the story to be narrated, which makes sense because you listened to your mom narrate. You loved it when mommy read to you, as loud as you dared this time of night. You didn't even need to study the pages. There once was a squire who dreamed of knighthood. All they wanted was to do. Cove was taken aback. Hurts my heart. You even pronounced knighthood properly. A word with. His reaction encouraged you to keep going. Soon you got to an exciting part. The squire and the dragon's first meet. The squire walked up to the fearsome dragon, their borrowed sword in one hand and a torch in the other. Her red scales danced in the light like flickering flames. Could you say the dragons do glasses? No, it's... My head hurts if I don't wear my glasses for a while, but I can kind of see things alright, but I don't know any voice. That's okay. It's fun anyway. Let me just... Cove read the page, his mouth moving silently with the words. Eventually, he nodded to himself and spoke them out loud. Who goes there? Roared the dragon. Who dares enter my cave? It was your turn. You went into the squire's famous speech. The next time you looked up from the page, Ray's lip. His eyes following the text, a soft smile lighting up his features. A lock of his hair fell into his field of vision, but he gave it no notice. He was lost. You started when Cove caught you walking. He raised a questioning eyebrow. What? Nothing. Cove shot you a strange look, but he went back to the book. You did too, even as your eyelid. When your eyes opened again, your bedroom was pitch black. Your head was smushed in your pillow, and your pajamas were sticking to you, and your mouth was... Slowly, you raised yourself onto your elbow. You yawned. The back of your throat twinged. You rolled into your side to sit up in bed, planning on getting water from the kitchen, a dark shape towering above you. You froze. And you remembered you weren't alone in your... Wolf?
You?
Yeah.
You shifted and felt something cylindrical press against your thigh. You fumbled for it. The familiar weight of the flashlight pressed into your palm. You turned it. Cove blinked at you, looking exhausted. He was in his normal clothes again, shoes and everything. Pajama pants were left on the floor abandoned. Sleeping bag similar. What is it? Can't sleep. Waking up. Did you have a bad dream? He shook his head from side to side. No, just can't sleep. It's weird. You frowned. Helped your mom redecorate it only a few months back. Take my room. It's not that it's bad. I just always sleep in my bed, in my room. That made things a little clearer. It wasn't anything that you'd done. Cove just sleep in a new place. You wondered how long it took for Cove's bedroom in his new house to not be here to probably a while. I'm gonna go. What? That shook off the last of your doziness. He was gonna walk outside, back to his own house? At this time of night, all by himself? He noted your shocked expression and looked at you with himself. My dad'll let me in, and I've gone outside late before, and I have to go. It wouldn't even be a sleepover if Cove left in the middle of the night. It was called a sleepover for a reason. Cove looked frustrated, though you got the feeling it wasn't at use. Yes, do. You were at a stalemate. Frowning to yourself, you studied his sleeping bag. Is there a way you can be comfortable? If Cove didn't like how weird your room was, maybe he'd feel better. It's a guy. Oh! You went to your bed and grabbed your blanket, and then you spread it over the floor beside Cove's sleeping bag. He watched as you did, blinking. You're sleeping on the floor? Yeah, next to you. Hopefully that'll help you sleep easier. But okay. Uh-huh. You spied a small smile. Try it. But if it doesn't work, I want to go home still. I get it. You grabbed your pillow and a few plush toys for good measure. As Cove picked up his pajama bottoms and folded them, set them aside. You tossed the items in your hands onto the blanket, completing your task. If you stood and looked down at your handy. Are you gonna change into your pajamas? No, I can sleep in this. Bathroom all by himself. Goes and change. Sweet little boy propped. There wasn't anything else left. In unison, you both laid down. Put his glasses aside and got into it. You made yourself as comfortable as you could, wrapped in the fuzzy blanket. The floor was hard and giving it back. Not all as comfy as your bed, but you didn't mind it as you had fallen asleep on the floor before. What mattered was if it happened. You swiveled your... Is it better? Poked the top of his face out of the sleeping bag and pulled back. No. Sleep first. Yeah. Tell if I can now. Couldn't help but be distant. Promise to wake me up if you want to go. Both looked confused by the request.
Okay.
Sure. You smiled. At least he wouldn't disappear without you knowing. You settled in for bed on the ground, closing your eyes and waiting for sleep to come. You wanted to give Cove a chance to get comfortable. Surprisingly, he decided to. This was my first sleepover. Yes? You opened your eyes to see him staring at the ceiling. You could see foam hair spread out around his head like he had just gotten stuck. Really? I've had sleepovers before. Sometimes I'll go to a friend's house. Shiloh slept over a few times too when another slept. Cove remained quiet. Silence stretched between you. Didn't feel awkward. Didn't feel the need to make it. How was it? Or is it? Not bad. I liked reading your book. You did? I thought you weren't having fun. You didn't really say anything when we... Didn't know what to say. Now you were the one who didn't know. You just laid there. So did Cove. For what felt like a really Cove? There was no answer. You leaned on your elbow to see Cove's eyes. His lashes fanned over the apple. His chest rised and lowered with every inhale. He was fast. Smiled. Good night. You rested on your back. Soon enough, you were lulled to sleep with a gentle sound of breathing. The next morning, you were woken by the sound of Mom's voice, a small shake in your shoulder. Valeria, wake up! It's time to get up and at 'em! The sun was peeking through the curtain, and you rubbed your eyes as they adjusted to the new light.
How are you? How are you?
Is everything okay down there? You blinked at Mom for a moment, confused, remembering you had slept on the floor next to Cove. He was just waking up, yawning loudly. His hand lightly hit your face as he stretched. When you moved away, you groaned a little at the pain in your shoulder, having slept on the hard couch. It definitely wasn't as comfortable as your cozy. That's Cove wasn't feeling good, so I stayed with him. He mumbled and glanced over at Cove, who rubbed his eyes sleepily, insane. Still, you were glad he had decided to stay the night. When you looked at Mom next, she was smiling at you both. Mommy was standing in the doorway behind her, doing the same thing. All right, kids, we'll be downstairs making breakfast. Take too long in coming down. He said something to Mommy on her way out that made the two of them giggle. Did you sleep okay? You stood up and stretched your legs, watching Cove fumble with the bedside drawer and pulling out a glass. Think so. He had been able to relax when it was just the two of you, and now that a new day had come, he gave the impression of feeling out of place again, but the smile on his face. Thanks, Valeria. You're welcome. Even if it couldn't be a perfect... Cove didn't stay for breakfast. He really was ready to go at that point. Mommy called to make sure Mr. Holden was up before Cove went home. He gave you a small wave as he left, thanking your moms for letting him stay, before he disappeared through the front door. You smiled at the sight. Cove's very first sleepover. Last but not least, before the summer's over, time for some shopping. And me taking it. Come back before it gets dark, alright, sport? The familiar voice drifted across the street and drew your attention, and the snail you'd been watching slowly cross pavement. Cove waited in front of his dad, pushing his green hair back off his face from where the breeze was blowing it over his glass. Sorry. Because people don't move, Bish. Get out the way, Bish, move. Because apparently they don't want it. Even though they should. No. From across the hall, I hear the chorus of the woo girls to the fire department. Huskies. Huskies are just woo girls for emergency rescue. Because every single time one of them goes by and goes, all I hear from, like, the next door neighbor is just from Huskies, because they have to, and they are woo girls for EMTs. Just that simple. They are woo girls for you. He looked to be paying only a mild amount of attention. He was being handed a few slips. It reminded you of when you first met Mr. Holden, although he's probably not paying Cove to be friends with. Cove's dad seemed to feel your gaze somehow, or maybe you made a noise, because a second later, his eyes were on you. He waved you over with a smile. He looked happy to see you, but you still felt a little weird getting caught. You've got to learn how to be sneaky. You brushed your hands together to free them of sand, and then jogged over to join the two, smiling at Cove first, and then his dad. Valeria, hi!
How's it going?
Good to see you again. What excitement are you up to today, Valeria? Taking a walk. I found a pretty cool snail across the road. There's a lot of snails around. Mr. Holden grinned at you kindly. After you finish answering the question, Mr. Holden's attention returned to Cove, who was preoccupied with holding the bills he had into a tiny rectangle. Sounds fun. You know, Cove is about to hit the stores by the beach. Why don't you go with him? You gave a ready nod, turning to squint in the direction of the stores like you could see the goods they offer all the way from where you stood. Oh, is that okay?
Yeah.
I don't mind.
Great, I'm sure you guys will have loads of fun. Mr. Holden reached into his pocket and pulled out a leather wallet filled with money. You found it odd since your mom's only ever seemed to have cards in theirs? Here. He leaned to pass a crisp pen to Cove, giving him a wink and a whisper. Get something for your friend.
Good kid.
That's my boy. Cove's dad ruffled his son's hair as he was straightening back up, the bill in his hand still held out towards the green sea hair. Take care. Cove accepted the bill after a second and slipped into his pocket. Then with one last nod to his dad, he turned and started walking. You followed after, intrigued at the possibilities this outing might bring. Cove strayed towards the gentle tide creeping up the sand, and you fell into a place beside him. It was a nice day. The sun was shining, and there weren't that many clouds in the sky, though the wind was coming off the ocean. You took in a deep breath, enjoying the scent of the salt in the ocean air. When you looked at Cove, dragging his feet through the sand a little, you slowed down to wait for him. His eyes searched the ground and
Snakes. Looking for shells? What is it?
I mean, shells makes the most sense. I don't think there'd be petals. I'm being handed a cat. Oh my goodness, he's so big. He's so big in his claws. Has claws. Oh my sweet boy. I have a teddy. Oh my goodness, I've been handed it. Oh my goodness. Well, you saying hi? Daddy saying hi? Yeah. Big boy. Well, Teddy, what are your thoughts? Do you have any opinions? Why snails? Hound, you come back and it's just snails. Why snails? Like snails. Of course you like snails. I figured you'd actually pick shell. Like, between snails and shells, I figured you'd actually pick, like, shell, not, you know, snail. They're invertebrates and alive, not dead. But, like, also shells. You can keep shells, you can't keep snails. But I will go with snails. Snails are better than dead shells. Cove looked over at you, twinkling his nose. Teddy, you're gonna have to sit. A really weird position, but it's okay. We'll be fine. We'll be fine together. Alright. Who would want something like this? Apparently not. You felt the urge to defend the activity you'd been indulging in only a short while. A lot of people.
Ugh.
No way, they're weird, and you can't take them anywhere because they're bugs. You have to leave them alone. Can't take snails home. She's 8. Give the 8-year-old a second. Eddie, what are we gonna do? Cove chuckled to himself and that ended the discussion. He can think what he wants, and you'll think your own. Only if you don't care, even 8-year-old knows bugs have 6 legs. The comforting sound of the waves filled the silence. Pleasant. You're the one who picked snail. The comforting sound of the wave filled the silence. Pleasant white. And you played a little game with yourself. You walked along, getting as close to the water as possible. It resulted in you having to run up the sand quickly when a wave rushed in, more than a few times. And although Cove threw a few glances your way, he didn't say a word. You didn't either. What did you want to go to the shops for? What do you usually do? I'm hugging. mean, we could ask what he's headed to the shops for. Because this is the shopping adventure, the last one, so. What do you think, Teddy? Figure out why he's going to the shops? What do we think? Tail whip and purr, apparently, what we think. Alright, what'd you want to go to the shops for?
I need a new sand pail. Yeah? What happened to your old one?
Cove narrowed his eyes, seeming to think deeply.
Well,
It disappeared. What? Really?
Cove ducked his head down, lacing his fingers behind his back. It didn't seem like he was going to continue, so you nudged.
How did that happen?
Well, Cove opened his mouth and shut it again, considering.
I took it to the beach one day.
Uh-huh.
When I got home, it wasn't anywhere. Left it there? No, it wasn't at the beach when I went back. Then you lost it. It disappeared. What about you?
What do you do? Sandcastles, swimming, fish. Swimming. I feel like, you know, if I lived like Fisher Castles, your 8-year-old self says I want to look at fish or build sandcastles, I'll go with Ken. We can agree to Ken.
Last summer, Lizzie and I built one that was as tall as me. And sometimes they have sandcastle building competitions down by the boardwalk. Cool. I bet you could win.
You smiled at Cove. Maybe the two of you would build one together one. Once you reached the shopping area, the noise level grew exponentially. No longer just waves and footsteps, but the chatter of people enjoying the lovely summer day, the call of the birds trying to find bits of food left behind, and lots of salespeople trying to get attention. You sniffed the air as you walked beside Cove. You could still smell the ocean, but there were other scents now too. Pizza, pretzels, hot nuts. Oh, the smell of food and sea and salt on a boardwalk. Best. It was nice. The energy surrounding the area seemed to fill you, and there was a bounce in your step as you began to look at all the familiar sights. There were so many things to do, you didn't even know where to begin. You looked at Cove, hoping he was just as excited as you were. Cove was glancing from one side of the street to the other with a look in his aquamarine eyes that you couldn't quite work out.
What's that?
Cove pointed to a large crowd of people at a few tables with large, colorful umbrellas moving from their middle. You couldn't see past the adults who were blocking the way, but you knew there must be something worth seeing. Without another word, the two of you hurried over to see what all the commotion was. Feast your eyes on the amazing Alexander! In the center of the crowd was a man with a tall hat and a funny green coat that had 3 long tails. There was a table next to him with a cloth hanging over it that read "The Amazing Alexander" in glittery gold script. I tell people if his name is Fiona. Cove hummed with understanding, then turned to walk away, just as the amazing Alexander began shuffling a deck of cards.
Go on then. Maybe we could stay and watch?
Cove glanced back to the man. He then briefly lifted his arms off his sides before returning them to place. You grinned, waving for him to follow you as you raced back to the stand in the crowd. With that, it began. The magic man pulled one card out of the deck, showing it to the curious onlooker. It was the 4 of diamonds. Watch closely. You did, squeezing through a few of the adult onlookers to get a better view. Suddenly, the man snapped his fingers and the card just disappeared. Whoa! The amazing Alexander, who had earned his title, turned his head and looked directly at you. He reached out with a kind smile. What's this behind your ear? Nothing. Tell me. Or... Tell me. This had to be going somewhere, and you needed to find out. He smelled like popcorn and candy when he stepped closer. It was great. You felt a tug, and then he pulled the 4 diamonds out from behind your ear. You knew that it couldn't really have come from your ear, but you still didn't get how he'd done it. There was a light applause from the crowd, and the man gave a deep bow. This is for you. The magician plucked a pair of balloons from the clump of them tied down to his table. Both were in the shape of a dolphin instead of being a normal circle. And one for your friend, too. Thank you for being my assistant. Now you were really grateful, each other. After that, he went to someone else in the crowd. Pick a card! Any card! My uncle does that every time he visits. Not the balloons, the stuff with the cards. Both spoke plainly while reaching over to take the dolphin that had been designated. At least you had a fun time. I wondered if... Project. I don't think he was trying to ruin the fun. Like, he understands how the fun works, you know? You did. However, the delightfully creative 8-year-old in me was just like, man. So, I wondered if Cove's whole family. If so, he was lucky. The crowd started to clear some, and you'd notice to the side there was a whole rack of brightly colored kaleidoscopes in play. Alright, kaleidoscope, Rubik's Cube, Magic 8 Ball, they're just walking past the doors. I definitely want to play with one of them, it's just like, which one? Go for the 8 Ball? Do we go for... I love kaleidoscopes. We'll go with it. You know? You picked up the kaleidoscope. Ooh, these are cool! You shifted your balloon string to your other hand so you could ride the mysterious tunnel to the sky. A whole palette of colors laid in front of you, spinning into all kinds of different shapes, twisted the end of it. Both picked one up and looked through, twisting the tube. After a second, he set it back in the rack, moving to the other side of the dome. He went under the awning, careful of his own floating dolphin, and you joined him. Did you have places like this in your old hometown? Are you having fun? I don't really like it here, or you said... I feel like one of the first two is probably the better, you know? This is, you know, asking him about his past life. This is confirming that, you know, he's actually doing... I feel like getting to know him is probably the good one. Unless someone else has an opinion, so... Did you have places like this in your old hometown? Both blinked at you for a moment, and you wondered if you shouldn't have asked. You knew how much... Not really. You nodded in understanding, looking over at the dolls nearby. This is where the fun joins. This matters way later. Okay? It gives us options way later. While Cove looked at Sam, you were drawn to a table with colorful keychains. They were sewn in the shape of sea creatures, and there was a plaque that read, "Handmade," standing proudly in front. There was a lot of different types. You saw a dolphin, a shark, a crab, and a turtle. Crabs or sharks? Alright, you know what? I'll do an even odds for crabs and sharks. Evens, we go sharks. Odd, we go crabs. Well, considering I got a 3... we'll go with the... Your hand stopped on the crab, claws raised and a tiny smile on its face. It had big eyes and little legs, and the fabric was smooth when you picked it up. You had seen a few crabs at the beach before, though they usually scuttled away before you got the chance to look at them closely. You liked the idea of having a crab all of your own, even if it was just a softie. You were instantly in. Checking the price though, your heart fell. $6? You didn't know how much about money. You thought that was a lot to spend on. You rarely had more than a $5 bill to your name. Is that what you want? Huh? Oh, it's $6. I didn't bring any money.
All right.
It's fine. Really? Hooray! You don't have to. You know. I feel like this is the most appropriate one, you know, the or the really? You know, exciting. I don't want to like deny him the gift. You've already, you know, picked it out. You know, you don't want him to like feel garbage about it. So I'll ask, you know, are you sure? Cove took the keychain from your hands and that was that. He was holding a small yellow bucket for himself. I was always gonna get you something. I already got the money for it. You smiled. Pleased to have things worked out. It was nice of Cove's dad to let Cove buy something for you too. You had to remember to thank him the next time you saw him. After Cove paid, the two of you stepped out of the store side by side, your balloon dolphins knocking together and spiraling around in the air. You watched Cove hold a new pail to his face, examining it thoroughly. Hey, Cove? Yeah? I gotta play this. You know? It's the positive affirmation, you know, that he helped you get something. Actually, it helps socially. I really like this keychain. Thank you. It's nice. Cove looked further down the street where different food carts were lined up. He rested his non-cast arm over his stomach, and just as he did, yours let out a light growl. You hadn't eaten since breakfast, and after all this wandering around, you were definitely. Let's get some food. Yeah. You two wandered around a short while looking at all the delicacies that were available. Everything looked delicious, and as the different smells, both sweet and salty, wafted over to you, your stomach growled even louder. After passing up hot dogs and snow cones, ice cream, pizza, you both agreed on pretzels. Cove got something sweet and cinnamon. You? Alright. Pretzel time. Do we go for plain? One with cheese? One with sprinkles? One with chocolate? Or one of those cinnamon sugar ones with the icing? Positive affirmation from people helps, just like we told you have done other work. Exactly. You know? It's the same concept. Someone, you know, seeing the job you've done and being like, thank you. I really appreciate the fact that you did that. It makes things a lot easier. Really can help someone's, you know, self-esteem and really can, you know, help with someone's sense of self and self-importance, which is really critical, especially during certain ages, and they're 8, you know? Be nice. That's like one of the first things I was taught was just if you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all, and don't be like I learned tact very early. Like, I'm not socially awkward, but it helps even me. That's true, but I enjoy telling you you're awesome. And then you get, like, kind of mad. So, that doesn't answer that doesn't answer the pretzel question. Plain, cheese, sprinkles, chocolate, or the cinnamon sugar kind with the icing. Come on. Also, like, the sprinkle, like, is it iced with sprinkles? I don't feel like sprinkles. You know? Exactly! Who puts sprinkles on a pretzel? Like, I feel like I usually go for the same as him because it's the cinnamon one with the dip, or I go with the cheese. Exactly. So we'll go with plain's boring. Chocolate and sprinkles is weird. Cinnamon with the icing cup, or cheese. So I'll go with cheese. You licked your lips hungrily as the vendor handed you your pretzel over, ready to take a big bite. It was covered in gooey, melted cheese, just the way you were. It seemed odd to get a dessert pretzel before eating normal food. I mean, You found an empty table close enough to the beach that the grit of the sand made terrible noises when you dragged the chairs out to sit on. These balloons are gonna make it hard to eat. Cove placed his bucket on the table as he stared at his still balled-up hand that was wrapped around the string. You opened your mouth to agree before an idea hit you. I know. After carefully placing your pretzel somewhere it wouldn't get sandy, you tugged at the balloon dolphin out of Cove's hand and tied it with a delicate bow around his wrist.
Oh.
Cove bounced his arm up and down in place, testing the stability of your knot. After watching his balloon jostle around but remain attached, he seemed satisfied. Can you do it for me? He repeated the ritual. Cove struggled somewhat, with the cast restricting his fingers on one hand and the string already tangled together.
Okay.
Got it. The two of you spend a moment admiring your handiwork, both hands now free to allow for the easy munching of your pretzel. You bit into the doughy treat, savoring the taste in your tongue with a smile as you looked out over the... After a time, you finished your pretzel. You were done before Cove. It was boring not having anything to do. So you pulled on the string of your balloon to bring it down to your level. Then you held the dolphin in your hands, manipulating it to make it look like it's jumping through the air. If you turned to face towards the beach, it almost looked like it was swimming in the waves like a real dolphin. A laugh came from the side. When you glanced back at Cove, he had left the remaining parts of the pretzel on the wrapper and was gripping his dolphin too. Alright. We have Merryweather, Splash, Cherry, Sam. Cherry's an alien, Splash stars in movies, Merryweather is the prince of the dolphin, and Sam is just Sam. You know? Oh, I know. It's this whole thing. They're freaking. Like... Aliens? Alright. Mine's name is Cherry. She's actually an alien. When no one is looking, she transforms back into her true alien self, and she has purple skin and 10 eyes. You sighed, wishing you could meet a real-life alien. What's yours? Cove considered the question, placing the balloon against the table and resting his free arm across it in contemplation. It's... With a loud pop, the dolphin exploded into ribbons. Oh no. For a second, all Cove did was gape in shock, like you. Then his cheeks puffed up, squinting his eyes, and you saw tears starting to glisten. Sorry. You offered to make a joke, offered to give him your balloon, find Alexander and Oh, I'm the... You can have mine! It'll be okay. Do we make a joke? Do we give him our balloon? I'll give him. Offered to give Cove your balloon. You looked at Cove, then up to your balloon, bobbing gently in the air above you. You can have mine. That was better than letting him cry more. Cove sniffled, glancing up at the balloon, then back at you. Oh, yours. I don't want to take it from you. It's okay, really. Cove shook his head. Even though it wasn't your fault, you still felt that. Still, the offer seemed to lift Cove's spirit, and that was good. The passing of Cove's balloon was the last major event. In the end, you two headed back late that afternoon. You separated on the beach, and while Cove went straight home with this brand new sand pail, you decided to sit for a while. You watched the waves and the sunset, fiddling with your new key. Another summer's day was drawing to a close. It had been a good one, except for the sad final. But that is all of the first step moments. So, summer ends. Move on to the next step? Yes! I'll never get tired of that view. You stood beside your mom's and Cove as the five of you watched the sun dip in the ocean far. You like to imagine it cooling off in the water, resting itself, getting ready to shine brightly. That was a fun day. I don't know if they had magicians on Shopping Street. Neither did I. Oh no, we are so dull. Let's get out more. You didn't do any real magic, Mom. How'd you figure that one out?
Duh.
As I know, that's not what real magic looks like. Oh, Lizzie dear, there's all kinds of magic in the world. Oh yeah, Lizzie is snarky. She has always been snarky, always will be snarky, just gets snarkier as she grows up. She is the biggest ball of older sister snark. You know? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, like, she gets less annoying, but she stays sassy. Lizzie gave Mommy a suspicious look, but didn't dispute the claim. You looked over at Cove, who hadn't said a word since you were home. He didn't look upset, though, just content. You're aware he still hadn't quite... Well, we can't sit out here all night. Time to hurry home and get cooking. Who's helping with dinner? Lizzie immediately let out a groan.
Ugh.
Mom, summer's almost over. The protest was up. You could practically see school rising.
And you certainly didn't want to spend your last bits of freedom cooking dinner. You could do that any other day.
Do we puppy dog eyes? You know? Please, can we play just a little longer? We have to keep playing before it's too late. It is almost over. Puppy dog eyes. Like, how are we feeling? This one just ends the scene early, and it's just... I've tried it, actually. So, 1 through 4. One. All right.
Please, can we play just a little longer?
Mom looked down at you with a sigh, and then you clasped your hands together to plea to give your plea some extra appeal.
We'll help with dinner tomorrow.
You immediately nodded in agreement with the very clever offer, shifting closer to Lizzie since your parents can't possibly resist the power of you two combined.
Please! Soon we'll have homework and reading to do, and we can't do work now.
Lizzie made her case and then stomped her foot into the ground. You mimicked her, feeling that would add something to the argument.
No.
Oh, come on, Pam. I can help you with dinner. Pamela? No, Lonnie. Goes by Lonnie. Goes by Pam. Mommy leaned in for a hug, and you knew that you were very close.
Okay.
All right. But as soon as dinner's ready, you lot are coming inside. Stood.
Yes, Mom! Yes, Mom!
Cove, dear, you're welcome to join us as well. You grinned at Cove and nudged his arm with your elbow. Cove gave a non-committal shrug to your mommy, which you took as an agreement.
So much to do, so little time. Maybe I could still get a seashell bracelet at Tines and Trinkets. Oh, or maybe the playground, or the fireflies would probably be coming out, right?
Don't Hygenate saying this, you silently made plans for... I feel like this is the best way to approach these people sometimes, is just make your own... Yeah, exactly. Silently make your own plans, let them just ramble on about what they're gonna do, and then just kind of go do. Lizzie had her own ideas of what she wanted to do, but what were you gonna do? You glanced over at Cove, considered. A strong gust of wind made you shiver. The best way to deal with the most annoying... Lizzie huffed as she wrapped her arms around herself.
Rude. Doesn't the wind know that summer's not over yet?
That's all Lizzie said before abruptly turning on her heel and heading off in the direction your mother's had gone. Where are you going? I'm going to my room. I have lots to plan if I want to make the most of tomorrow. You thought this over, looking off towards the water again. Lizzie didn't wait, and before long she was disappearing off down the road. Meanwhile, Cove was going in the opposite direction. Beach. Like, even if Cove wasn't going towards it, I'm going to argue I prefer to stay outside as long as I could. And just... So. You stayed with Cove. Cove gave you a smile that you couldn't help.
Cool.
He made a little gesture you interpreted as follow me, and then started heading to the wave. Cove knelt down, picking up something quickly identified as a smooth rock. He reared his arm back and tossed it out into the water. Alright, how good is this kid at skipping stones in the water, in the waves? Like, cause you can give him, decent. Like, you can give him decent, but you can also be like, nah, just, I try to be nice and kind of give him a little bit of decent, but yeah. Alright, so we're just gonna make him, like, friggin' awesome at this. Got it. You were impressed by over how far he got it to go. It sailed way out into the sea. You can't skip rocks in the ocean. What are you doing? You looked for your own rock. Lots of times to the beach waiting for his dad. I mean, are we just gonna, look for our own rock and start chucking rocks? Because I'm here for chucking rocks. 3, fair enough. Deciding to join Cove, you searched for any nearby rocks or shells that you could throw too. You found a shell that would suit your purposes, a smile growing as you tossed it as hard as you could. It landed with a wet-sounding thunk a few feet away and slipped down into the water. When you looked it over at Cove, he didn't seem to notice that his throw had been more impressive. Cove was looking down at his cast, scratching idly at the pink surface even though he was pretty sure he couldn't feel it. His brows were furrowed and there was a frown to his face.
It's not fair.
Not fair! I had to wear this cast for ages. I can't even swim. When'd you get it off? Or how'd you get it? This one's like either. I'll do an even. Just in case nobody says anything, even odds. One. Ah, so you want to know when he got it off, but not how he got it. Alright, fair enough. How can matter. When do you get it off? Two's more interesting, I will fully. Because I've done both. I'm waiting for the pretty sure. How does it matter we don't want him thinking of the past and getting depressed again? He doesn't get depressed. I'm gonna tell you that right. If anything, this one makes him depressed because now he's thinking about how much longer he has to have the cast on. You know? Cove shrugged and didn't. For a second you thought maybe he didn't know, but finally he sighed. Do you want me to go back? It's fine, I can. That's the whole point.
It's not fair.
Sure. Okay. The offer was made. Few weeks. You didn't think a few weeks was that bad? That's not very long at all. That is a while. Yeah, like, when you find out what happened to his arm, it makes sense that it was false. That's forever in kids' time. I mean, that's fair. That is a while. That is a while. You hope the upcoming weeks flew by for you. It was clear how badly. Cove let out a huff, flopping down. Can't believe summer's almost over. You sat down next to him and nodded in agreement, regardless of the sudden topic. I don't want to go to school. I mean, I would. I don't want to go to a new school. Think it'll be the same school as you and Lizzie? My dad said something about that. Cool. You're gonna like it. Everyone there is super nice. You'd only ever been to the one school, but you were sure that his old school couldn't have been that much. Then again, he did have to make new friends and meet new teachers. It could be kind of scary. Cove shook his head, then wrapped his good arm around his knees as he drew them to his chest. You heard a sniffling sound, and when you took a good look at his face, you realized that his eyes were... This boy cries.
I want to go home.
You'd never had to move before. You thought you could understand. If you had to go to a new school all of a sudden with new people, it'd probably be too. Even though you sort of maybe understood, you still weren't sure how to help. Hey, see you later? Cove gave his head a shake. No, I want to go back home. Right. Cove wanted to go back to his old, the one that sat waiting someplace far from here, the one he would bring up whenever he felt it. It had been a while since then, but he didn't seem to feel any better about it. You settled back down to the sand, trying to consider what to do. Anything. Hate it here, this can be your home, or this is just platitude, you know? I mean, fair. This is an appropriate answer. This can be your home is inappropriate. You hate it here? Cove's brows furrowed even more, and he shook his head. He felt a rush of relief. You liked having him. It would be sad if he had been miserable all the time. You're not gonna leave, right? You'll still be around? The question was a little surprising. I mean, I have no plans on going there. I mate. I have no say in her book. Considering how the game's played. Of course I'm gonna be around. That's just silly. 8-year-old logic. I'm not going. mom's move game. It's just to make you rude. Your parents would have mentioned if you were gonna move, right? After a second, Cove gave a nod. Once I get my cast off, we could go swimming. You were fine with him changing. Yeah, that would be fun. Cove smiled and he looked back to the waves. My dad keeps saying I'll get used to everything eventually, that I'd feel better then. It used to make me angry. I didn't want to get used to it. Spared a glance over at Cove and saw the anger had slipped off his face in favor of something almost positive. But maybe that would be okay after all, as long as I really do feel better. Can't see it. You could remember a long time ago when you first started going to school. You absolutely not okay with the idea of being away from you. Listen to strangers tell you what to do and sit with kids that you've never met before. Things changing is hard. Alright. How are we treating the overly sensitive? And reassuring him, or are you damn sure Bish is gonna have a good time? One? Alright, we'll hold his. It'll be. You're not quite sure what to say to that, so instead you reach out and take hold of Cole's hand. The one closest to you is the one in his cast, so you make sure you are very. As you watch, Cole's eyes got a little misty once more, but you got the feeling that these were different tears than the one. I hope next summer I'll surf and I'll go exploring and everything will feel like it's supposed to again. You will. It will. Two of you sat quietly, just taking in the sounds of the wave. You hoped that Cove would be able to accept this place at his new home. You definitely try to help in what ways you could. There were so many wonderful things here Cove probably hadn't even seen yet. Lost in thought, you started a bit when you heard a faint, familiar sound. The sound of your mom shouting your name. You looked over at your shoulder, realizing it was probably time for dinner. Time had really gone by. You stood up and dusted. My mom's calling. It's time for dinner. You should come. Cove looked up at you, expression screaming reluctant, yet ultimately, okay. When you smiled, Cove returned. No. Valeria, thanks.
Thanks.
It was nice where you were right there. Two of you couldn't stay there in your own little world. You were being called forward. So the both of you ran off towards your home, in the waves behind. Now we have the in-between. This is where we can choose new stuff for ourselves. We can add earrings if we'd like to add some earrings. We can add a scar if we want. We can change our hair. I personally kind of like to change the hair at every step to kind of reflect how I think that the individual look like 8, 13, 3. So I don't see that a 13-year-old would have the same kind of pigtails as the 8-year-old. Maybe the same color, but definitely not the same, like, style. So the question just becomes, long hair or short hair? What do we think? We got some fun shorts, we got some fun long. I've done all the different styles and stuff before. If I do short, this is shorts. Just because I kind of like the, like, cute look and you can still see earrings if you put on earrings. I tend to go with these guys or 13 or like these guys, and then I go with, because that's an upper one that you can't see unless you're certain, and then I go for this guy when they're 18 or older, because I don't feel like parents would, like, at least my parents would have said okay to like one set of ear piercing at 13, not 3. So I feel like the studs or the hoops are kind of needs that you get at 18. Get that, you do get tattoos. I promise you, you get tattoos. For now, we have earrings, okay? We have earrings and the ability to dye our hair at 13. So if you want, we can dye our hair. Another cute front they have is this guy with like the braid coming down that looks super cute. with the little swirly bits. Because again, I like being able to see the ear, you know? I'm trying to think. 13. I was allowed to dye my teeth, you know? So I have no qualms about dyeing the character's hair. Any color of the rainbow. Edgy hair dye? Alright, so do we want to go like short edgy, or do we want to go like short flowy, like long flow, like needs a punk phase? Oh, honey, if we're going punk. There's one particular hair that is hilariously. So, I'm not gonna stick with the pigtail. We're gonna. There's a long back that's actually kind of. Because there's the high pony, but then there's the like, I've pulled my hair back in a low ponytail look, which isn't horrible. Definitely don't want the braided front back. We could have. No. Going. Oh. The short actually looks really good for the punk. So like, what do we think? We're gonna dye it. We're gonna dye it. Do we care what color we dye? We have a lot of color options. So for like really bold, fun colors, we have orange, red, pink, purple, blue, or green. So. Blue or green? I'll do green. I like the green looks kind of fun. And then now that I have the color, I can kind of like, I can get the hair to kind of look like it makes sense with it. Because you can have nothing on the back, but I like having the back. Oh, actually, that's kind of cute. With the spunky little, you know, back spikes and the, you know, flowy on the top. That's kind of cute. Don't have glasses. Don't need any scars. Yeah, they have some cute. Make the back a darker color for more vibes. Like the two-tone. If I'm gonna do that, then I'm gonna do something like, you know... If I do something like that, then I tend to go like orange with a red back, something like that, you know? Because then it makes your head look like it's fire still. Or the pink. I've done the pink. If we want green, we do the issue is the back doesn't look good in other colors, and it's annoying because like it doesn't look like it ombres. It looks like it's literally just green here, blue here, or black here or something. And there's only so many hairstyles to go with it too. Front black, green back. That's an idea. Weavy, but like there's we're ignoring a lot. It's because they just do not work. Or they cover the earrings, and I'm sorry. Some of them are fun. Don't get me wrong, but I like seeing the earrings. I know they exist. But honestly, no. You know what? If we're gonna go really, really punk, then I have to use potentially one that covers earrings. Ooh, this one's a good. Not like that's the issue. There's not a ton of good options. It's like this is nothing, and nothing just kind of looks boring. But some of them look like they don't need a front, and it's a weird kind of combo. This looks like Hatsune. It really does. gonna do half black. In this iteration, I could keep those little pigtails and they would work. But what do we think of the like black and green with the round? They also have a two-tone version that's longer in the front that works with one of the flow pieces, but I think in this case the shorter option would be the better option, and then you kind of get this black with a bit of green and the green behind. I like that. All right. Yes, I can't see the earrings, but I still know the earrings exist, so you know what? I can always swap the colors for that one. So like this, where the green is still in the back and the black is the more prominent feature in the front with the green side, or are we talking like black on black? Because I don't like the black on black. I will not do the black on black. Just that simple. Because the two-tone one is interesting. Although if we wanted to do the green and blue, we could actually with the two-tone. Second head. Oh, fair enough. Okay. Orange is bad. Orange is very Halloween. I made it Halloweeny. Oh, again. No, I kind of like the black. Oh, I forgot I had that one. Yeah. There is one that's kind of like a pumpkin shade. Still. Shaved. Yeah, this guy, which is the half shaved, which is one of the few that looks fine with the, but yeah, definitely the two. We going back to what we were originally looking at. But yeah, no, the orange makes it very, very Halloween pumpkin. I don't mind it, it's just very Halloween. I tried in other colors too. It was fun. But the larger swatch of black with the green, rest of it's kind of white. So, alright, we will go with that. So, are we staying friends level with Cove throughout this entire thing? Are we getting a crush on him and not telling him? Are we getting a crush on him and telling him? Because remember, there's 3 love interests, and we can technically play all 3 endings depending on how, you know, we play this. We can have a crush on him and not tell him. So are we feeling crush, you know, 13-year-old crush but don't tell him? Or are we just thinking BFFs until we're older? Like, we can't do indifferent, so we've got 1 and 2 on this side, and 1 through 3 on this side. I know you can't see it, but it says crush and then fawn. You're 13, don't tell anyone, make them guess because you still think they are mind readers. So we should have a crush on him? Is what you're saying? Or should we just be friends? Like, input's delightful. Crush on everyone? Fine. Are we feeling direct, relaxed, or nervous? I feel like if we're going super punk with it, relaxed or direct make more sense. Please note that if we're gonna try and romance everyone, then we cannot tell really anyone that we have a crush on them. Like, we can kind of tell people at the very end of certain things, but there has to be a very particular order, and we can't tell Cove we have a crush on him at the end of all of this. We have to tell other people that they have a crush on, you know, on someone in a nebulous concept, because if you basically say X, you don't get Y as an option, and if we want X, Y, and Z as an option, there's a very particular way to do it. So there's gonna come a point where I just do something and no one can deal, and everyone can deal. However, relaxed trust. Customize Cove. Choose the customized Cove yourself or let us prior experience determine. I pick both only so I can kind of see it and kind of like go through if I really think I want to judge something, and to show other people we have for options, even if we never change anything. So here's 13-year-old Cove. These are the options we have. Necklace, none. That's the first necklace, or that's it. So either we wear that necklace or we don't. Left wrist, which is this guy. We have that guy, or no, sorry, it's this guy, sorry. We have the pink beads, we have nothing. The right wrist, we have nothing. These cute beads with like the shark teeth on them, or that bracelet. Personally, I'm a shark tooth kind of chick, because this is how you're gonna see him throughout the entire rest of, thing. I like this bracelet. I don't mind the lack of necklace. I don't mind the necklace. I don't mind, like, the lack of, something on his wrist. I just, for shirts, we have one, two. We have one or two. And then for pants, we have what look to be board shorts, what look to be different colored board shorts, what look to be cargo pants, and what look to be different cargo pants. So, like, shirt one, all right, do we have an opinion on cargo shorts versus not cargo shorts? Because we have black and brown cargo shorts as an option if we do not want to go just straight swim trunks all season. That's 2A or 2, okay, so that, fair enough. Do we want a necklace? Are we feeling the, like, little beady necklace? Or are we not, and, like, are we not feeling necklaces? Also, how do we feel about this, like, pink bracelet? Do we like it? I'm here for it. Also, we have to check out glasses and hair. Fair enough. You know what? I'm gonna leave them all decked out. Hair 1, hair 2. All right. So these are our options for hair. We have the smooth, kind of adorable, like high part flowy, and then we have the mess part. Excuse me. We have the kind of like messy, slightly curly. And then for glasses, we have big old thick black nerd frames. Yeah, like it really does. Like, 2 is... one feels more like a natural progression of his hairstyle. For glasses, we have big old chunky nerd frames. We have big old brown frames. And we have no glass, which we can have him wear no glasses as well. Personally, at 13, chunky nerdy black frames, kind of like... I like him with the glasses more than out of the glasses, so don't make that poor kid blind, right? No, it's just the way they play it is basically either he's wearing contacts, you can go that route, or his vision got better as he aged. So. I know it doesn't say contacts. Pajamas. Do we want... This is pajama shirt 1. And this is pajama shirt 2. Pajama shirt 1 is a little more interesting. I kind of like the, the compass on it. It's actually very neat. It's a nice, I'm giggling because no glass he would likely to walk into things. That's why we're leaving the glasses on it. PJ shirt. Are we feeling the one with the, cute symbol on it? That's a purple, or are we going plain blue? You don't get to change the paint, just the shirt. I personally prefer the one with the leather vein, but that's just because, like, yeah. And last but not least, jacket 1 or 2. Personally, I'm a jacket 2 person. It looks better with the pants. It looks better on him. It looks just genuinely better. There is a very particular scene it's required for, but I understand one. One can work with like more the beach shorts. Yeah, the black on black. All right. So, from where we have left him, because we influenced this is how it can work. So if you influence him, how you influence him matters. This is more studious, this is a nice mix, this is more sporty, and then we kind of have sections in between. We can only have one. However, because we were very warm to him when he was younger, he himself has become a very warm, opening individual. This is kind of the moderate mid-zone, and this is him being a cold, quiet, introverted person. I will leave it. I generally do leave this one unless I want a specific outcome, but I love when he naturally just becomes a very... All right, Derek. We have not met Derek, but as noted, we're gonna crush on everything. So how are we gonna feel? Okay, so I'm gonna give a brief intro on Derek. He is one of the DLC options. He is one of the DLC romanceable options, and he does actually require us to play a very specific scene for him to be available at all for romancing or even really keeping in touch with on any level for the rest of the story. Derek, or Derek Suarez, is his dad co-owns the shop with Cove's dad, Mr. Holston. So Mr. Suarez and Mr. Holston are they're basically they're co-owners of the shop that they run. Derek is the oldest of his three boys. So this is the oldest of three boys. He is at least in some parts Spanish. One, because his last name is Suarez and his father is very, very Spanish. But like, you'll see it when you meet him. He's just got that kind of like, when you meet his whole family, they look like they're from somewhere in Latin America, or they're Mexican, or, you know, some sort of, they have Spanish heritage in them somewhere. He is a delightfully sports obsessed, studious individual who is he is overly polite because he feels like he needs to take up less space. His younger brothers, he's 13, his younger brothers are 10 and 6. You get to meet both of them, so you actually get to, you know, interact with the younger kids as well. Since we're crushing on everyone, it's already on Crush, but the question becomes, do we want to be more direct with him, relaxed, or just nervous about Derek? Derek is one of those people who will always think of you before himself. So I tend to be a little bit more relaxed, or, you know, well, no, already gonna have the crush, but the question becomes, are we direct, relaxed, or nervous about it? Personally, I go more for direct or relaxed, typically, because this is an individual who firmly believes that he should not be taking as much space as he is, and that's not good. I want people to take up space in my life. I want them to tell me, you're a punk, you're relaxed about everyone. Well, I mean, you could be direct about everyone too. There are some very direct punks, but we'll go relaxed, all right? Relaxed, rush. It'll be fine. Too late, already picked. August ended. September began. It was time to go back to school. Lizzie groaned and complained the entire first week. She hated going to classes. Still, there were interesting things to do that couldn't be done anywhere else. You weren't sure how Cove felt about it. He was enrolled that year. That was like a sign Cove would be staying in Sunset Bird for a while. At school, he was alright, but kept his distance from the other kid, from what you saw anyway. Whenever he could, Cove stuck to you like lip. Is the ennui of the emo punk? That's true. That's true. Ennui of the emo punk, my apologies. He didn't even mind that much what you did to pass the time, as long as it was together. Sometimes it was like things were exactly the same when you had first met. But other times, as you got older, you couldn't ignore how the feelings had changed. Meaningful. That year, the divorce of Cove's parents was finalized. You overheard your parents talking about it, saying Cove's dad got full cover. At first, you worried that meant bad news. It had made Mr. Holden cry, apparently. Then you found out it meant Cove would keep living with his dad. He'd only stay with his mom a few weeks of the year. Cove cried too. For different reasons. It seemed like Cove and his dad might move again. Mr. Holden decided to stay after all. Mom asked him about it once. He said he didn't want to uproot Cove's life a second. Mr. Holden tried to get Cove to like Sunset Bird. He kept encouraging his son to go out and see the place. Yeah. Sometimes Mr. Holden volunteered you to spend time with Cove. He seemed very confident that it would be an effective strategy. Cove never talked to anyone about what happened with his parents and withdrew whenever it was. It was hard for him, yet nobody knew how to help him. Eventually, Cove stopped crying on his own. You couldn't understand what had changed, but you hoped that you could help him feel better still, since even without the tears, maybe one day he could say out loud what he felt. After that, it felt like things had gone back to normal, except what was normal didn't stay the same. Years passed, and suddenly you were in middle school. You weren't a kid anymore. You were 13 years old. 13. Liquids are important. That officially made you a teen, even if your sister didn't agree. The toys and crayons that used to litter every free space in your room packed away somewhere. Placed my new hobby. There were other changes too. Cove's cast got taken off. It was weird to see him without it, actually. Underneath the pink plaster ended up being a long, thin scar that snaked across his forearm. Cove's chest puffed out in pride when someone drew their attention. Cheers. Oh no, it's my earrings. My own earrings. He also went through a major growth spurt. He was the tallest student in his class for 2 years in a row. Cove probably hold that spot again. In class, people knew him for more than just being tall. He also stood out because now he did well in gym and other athletic situations. Over the years, he'd begun opening up more too. You saw him talking amicably with other kids and neighbors from time to time. And the only kid that came to visit the neighborhood while you were little, Shiloh, oh, he was gone. He and his mom moved back south because of her work, just 1 year after Cove came to Sunset Bird. It had been really upsetting when he left. Lizzie was inconsolable for weeks, but nobody talked about Shiloh anymore. It was a long time ago. You learn some heartbreaking things became less sad the further away they were, even if they had never gotten it. That was sad in its own way. Things at home were different too. You still lived in the same house and all that, but it wasn't how it was before. Ma dyed her hair purple, wanting something new, and liked it so much she kept dyeing it. You remember calling her mommy as a kid, but something like that seemed awkward. You were much too old for that. Lizzie felt too mature for her nickname too. She insisted everyone calling her Elizabeth, so you did. Your moms soon gave her permission to go places other than the playground and the shopping street, which she took advantage of. You rarely saw her around the old neighborhood. In fact, she hardly spent time with you the way she did before. Elizabeth instead associated more and more with the girls from school, her own age. Maybe the difference between 13 and 15 was greater than the difference. You started befriending new people yourself, like Derek Suarez. He didn't live in the neighborhood or go to the same school. What happened was his and Cove's dad struck up a business partnership months ago. Since then, Derek would pop up in the area now and then. It seemed Mr. Suarez was happy to let Derek tag along to his work if Derek had the time. Without a doubt, everyone and everything, in small and big ways. You had to. As time went by though, it was easy to settle into the new normal. Then, before you knew it, school was over and summer vacation had come again. Meet your new room. 13-year-old, Kit Valaria has the really nice desktop PC, not even gonna lie, a dirty hamper full of clothes that you kind of can't see, and a decently comfy looking bed. So here's where we're at. We will get to pick hobbies, height, all that fun stuff as we go through stuff, so this is just the intro. We're not picking all that sort of stuff right now. It all gets played out, do not worry. It was the first day of summer vacation. The sun was as hot as ever, but you were inside and away from its harsh rays. To be more specific, you were, and yes, it is a very blue room, which I don't mind. Were we snuggled up in bed, celebrating time by sleeping in, or were we about to head out and enjoy our time off? I don't know, did you sleep in during the summer? I didn't. I went out and did a billion things. Heading out? Yeah. Wide awake, but about to head out to enjoy your time off. You made sure to slather on a generous amount of sunscreen so you didn't get burnt. You were looking in the mirror, studying the clothes you'd thrown on, when your bedroom door opened without warning. In the reflection, you saw Elizabeth raise an eyebrow. I got kicked outside as soon as on up most days. Me. Have you been staring at yourself this whole... Could you not next time go away? Or my personal favorite, good morning, Elizabeth. How are we Oh, it did. I told you. Have you been staring at yourself this whole morning? This is why this is my honestly my favorite one. It's just the good morning, Elizabeth. You know? So, how are we answering? Could we knock next time? Just go away. Or, you know, do we take the relaxed eye rolly, you know? Fair enough. Could you knock next time? She ignored that, crossing arms over her chest with a disgruntled expression. Clearly, she hadn't come in just to see you. Your special boy is at the door, like he always is now. He brought some happy summer gift from Mr. Holden. Mom wants you to take it from him, say thanks or whatever. You did not like the way she called him your special boy, but you knew now that saying that anything wouldn't stop.
Come on.
So come down already. You right there? Okay, fine. Really? That's great. That one's a little... This one screams, I'm way too into it. I'm sorry. It just does. You know, this one's cold. This one's kind of mean. This one screams, I'm way too into it. You know, these two, little bit better. This one screams desperate. You know? Like, exactly. Thank you. Be right there. Elizabeth said nothing else and left, having done what was instructed of her. Now alone, you focused on the mirror once again. Now we get to pick. How tall do we want to be? Do we want to be... I hate being short, so I tend to go really tall in this situation if I can. I absolutely love being as tall as I can, but it's not just up to me. So are we looking at average, short, very short, pretty tall, really tall, like tall for a 13-year-old, average? You hate me. I'm sorry, Ugh, fine. Actually prevents you from being able to do stuff later in the game. Yeah, well, I'm gonna tell you, it actually prevents you from stuff. You know, whatever. And you don't have to be like tall. Also, 13-year-old tall is like, I'm gonna tell you right now, girls, if they spring, they like spring a whole bunch and then they stay there. You know? No, you know what? I'll go in between. Screw you. I don't want to be an average height. Your reflection went over the whole length of mirror. You were pretty tall. I'll go pretty tall. I'm not gonna go like, you know, I'm 6'2" or whatever, but like... Cove tended to be the only person around who was even taller, at least among teens your own age. Remember, you're also 13. You're going to keep going. You're going to keep growing. You liked your height, you weren't sure how to feel about it, or you were kind of self-conscious. Personally would love to be taller. So you know what? I like it. It suited you well in here. Then you put the finishing touches on your outfit while ruminating on the situation. Careless as they had been, Elizabeth's words had piqued your curiosity. You planned on going out to see what Cove was up to today, so this just worked in your favor. It was when you spotted your reflection that you realized you were smiling wide. You were looking forward to seeing. You left your own room, taking an easy time downstairs. Step 2, second chance. You spotted Mom first, reclining on the couch. She held a magazine in her hands, which she was perusing. Morning, Mom. She looked up at your greeting, a smile instantly appearing on her face.
Thanks.
Good morning, Valeria. Thank you for coming down. Meet your mom at step 2. I love her earrings. Like, those are just super cute. Ma's at the door with Cove. He can't stay over today, unfortunately. Why didn't you go and thank him before he leaves? You nodded and made your way to the front of the house. Just as she said, Ma was there making conversation. She must have heard you, as she looked over her shoulder.
Oh?
Look who finally made it. Morning, sleepyhead. Also, see? Purple. Super cute. You know? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's that painfully awkward teenager. It gets so teenage rom-com with it in some bits. Ma reached forward and you knew she was about to pat you on the head. She was taller than average for an adult woman, so you were still little in her eyes despite being big for your own age. Alright, do we let her pat her head? I mean, it is your mom. But you're like, oh, no, not in front of the kid. You know, like you don't want to show disappreciation, but you also like, I'm going with, you know, being the, like, yeah, that's adorable, but like, could we not in front of the, right? You pushed your hand back and laughed. Ma could be so ridiculous, you thought, but that was okay. You're the last one down today, you know that? Life isn't a race. Morning. I was gonna stay in longer, so you're welcome. Sorry about the waiter. What did we get? God's mom, stop. Right, exactly. God's mom, stop embarrassing me. All right, how are we answering the you're the last one down today? This one is interpreted as sleepy. I will note that one only because it could not be interpreted as sleepy and be interpreted as a morning, but it's not. It's interpreted as a morning, you know, tired kind of yawn vibe. So, yeah, life isn't a race. Life isn't a race.
Funny.
I don't think that'll excuse will work if you're late for anyone other than your own mother. Looks so cute. With a small laugh, Ma stepped aside. Cove was just as you'd remembered exactly how you came to know him. Oh, sweet boy. He leaned in uncomfortably to the side of your doorway as the longer strands of his hair idly drifted with the breeze. His features were pinched in embarrassment, and he shifted from one foot to another, and he was holding what must be the much talked about gift. At first glance, you figured it must be a bouquet of flowers. Then you gave it a real look. No. Instead, it was carefully cut. It made a lot of sense that it was actually from Cove's dad. You had to suppress a laugh at this showing. You couldn't imagine many folks buying that sort of thing for their own personal enjoyment. That kind of arrangement was built for the presentation, likely to impress whoever is inevitably going to receive. It seemed no matter how long he lived here, Mr. Holden would keep going out of his way to be neighborly, and Cove would always be roped to participate. At the sight of you, Cove smiled, but there was some nervousness. Hey, you smiled. You couldn't help thinking when you first met Cove, and how you became such good friends. Lately, though, you were starting to friend feeling. Hey, it's nice to see you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you too. His grip on the base of the gift tightened and your heartbeat sped up. Even if neither of you had spoken about it, both of you were aware something new was growing in the relation. Awkward. It was already shaping up to be another long summer. The best part was that the two of you had plenty of time to spend together and explore what was. His awkwardness got over, the task started to creep back in, so Cove nudged the gift closer to you. He was ready to be removed. Your hands brushed over his just slightly when you took hold of the base. He flinched enough for you to know with certainty that he had noticed. You couldn't help but smile to yourself. Oh, you can tease him about the crush, by the way, the entire. You cannot admit it and just tease him personally. And with that, the gift was accepted. I hope you and your family like this. It's a pretty good gift. I think so. He smiled earnestly. Dad spent a lot of time picking out the best size and design. There were so many options to choose from. See? You can just tease the boy. How bad does 13-year-old punk Valaria? You are just too cute. I'm not trying to be. Just thank my dad for all this, okay? Alright. Yeah, he's you. Mr. Holden's behavior was really different from any neighbor you'd ever had, though after 5 years you were used to his end. And since you had made up your mind on what your opinion of him, you can think he's cute, because 13-year-old crushes on, you know, like, the adults do happen. But, like, one of those, you know, I have a crush on his son, so of course his dad, you know, I think his dad's kind of handsome. But he was funny, he was nice. No. He was like, you know, 6. Alright, fair enough. He was great and kind of handsome to boot. Though there were some things people that didn't like about Mr. Holden, you didn't mind them and liked him quite a bit. And even and even if he was Co's dad, you couldn't pretend like he wasn't a nice looking. That was good too. But that was something you kept to yourself. Your thoughts were quickly interrupted by a shout. There you are! Sorry, I have to go slightly deeper. There you are! You shared a confused look with Cove. As one, you both stepped through the open door into the neighborhood street. Here we go. It didn't take long to locate the source of the noise. You spotted Derek just a few yards down the road. He ran up to you. Do we want to be happy? I don't, Another boy we are totally crushing on. I'm here. You were happy at the sight of him. Derek was certainly a welcome guest in your neighborhood. It was a pleasant surprise whenever. And voila, one Derek. After stopping a couple steps away, Derek hunched over to catch his breath. Then he looked up at you with a wide grin.
Hey.
Hey, guy and gal. I was just at your house, Cove, but no one was there. Should have figured you'd be at Valaria's place. Do you ever spend time in your own home, or are you just always just there? Derek laughed at his own joke. He either didn't notice that it embarrassed Cove, or the embarrassment was what he was actually. Derek turned to you. He was gonna say more when his eyes widened and gasped. What's that? You followed his gaze, unsure, and then you realized what he meant. You were still holding Mr. Holden's gift. This? It's kind of like a bouquet of flowers, but made out of fruit.
Nice.
Nice. Can I have some? Maybe later. I'd argue, maybe like past, Yes, it's an edible arrangement. You're holding a basically cone-shaped edible arrangement. I usually go for maybe, later, but because that way it's a non-committal. I kind of have to ask my mom's, but also I might not, because, So, maybe you can have some later. Derek grew more excited by your work, bouncing on the balls of his feet. Awesome! Then he nodded his head as he cleared. Anyway, that's right. I came here because I needed to say something big. He paused, possibly for a sec. There's some other kid here in Sunset Bird. Cove was as surprised as you were by the news. Such a reaction made sense. No one around your age had moved here since Cove did 5 years ago. Were they with their family? Maybe they were cutting through. Nuh-uh. The new kid was all by himself, just walking. Did you talk to him? Nope. I came to report the sighting right away. The kid had green hair, glasses, was pretty small, and seemed really upset about something. We didn't leave. You blinked. Slowly, you looked over to your longtime neighbor. That sounds a lot like you, Cove, when you first got here anyway. It kind of does, doesn't it? Weird. Does Cove? Nope, he is an only child. Derek has 2 younger brothers. You're Derek, not Cove. Trust me when I say Derek. He sounded almost fond, a small smile on his lips. Derek snickered good-naturedly. I can see that really well now that you say so. But what do you say? Let's go find Cove's look-alike. We should all meet him.
Sure.
I'll do it. Sure, I want to see who this person is. Derek grinned. Then he pointed down the street, the way he came. Last I saw him, the mystery visitor was going this direction. Nothing else needed to be said. The 3 of you were off, with Derek leading the way. I'm probably gonna finish this scene and get to the next section, then kind of call it. But I want to finish this. Derek brought you to the beach. As a trio, you made your way down to the shore to the old playground. You walked the familiar path in silence. When you were almost there, you spotted the kid in question. His bright colors almost shone like a beacon beneath the rays of the sun. He scuffled around, kicking up the sand as he paced. It was true. He certainly seemed upset, but you didn't think it was sad like you had originally pictured. No, with the erratic movements and scrunched up expression, he came off as angry. You started to have doubts about this expedition. Maybe it'd be better if you left him alone and let him sort himself out. Derek didn't feel the same. He waved wildly, calling out to the boy. Hey, guy, over here! Insert smoke. The kid whipped around, an impressive scowl carving deep into his face. His eyes were tired, a strong, hostile energy still radiated for him.
What?
What? What is it? What do you want? The sharp tone made Derek flinch. He shifted on his feet. What's your name? Jeremy. Was that it?
No.
Oh, yeah. No, just wait. No, I'm Derek, and that's Valarian Cove. We were just walking around and saw you. We wanted to say hi. There aren't a lot of kids our age in the neighborhood. Yeah, so it's cool to see someone else here. Strangely, Jeremy grew furious by your response. If steam could erupt from a person's ears, it would have happened then. They did bring me somewhere stupid. Of course, I knew it. What?
My parents.
My parents. They're the ones who brought me here. I didn't walk to this town. Can you not figure that out on your own?
Right.
Right. My dad brings me to Sunset Road too, when he has to come for work and stuff like that. It's not bad. Oh yeah, no, this kid is... That earned him a glare from Jeremy. He needs to take a dip in the ocean, right? Derek winced beneath it, glancing away. It was a struggle to remain friendly with this Jeremy guy. I mean, I wouldn't want to come here for a real vacation, probably either. That's an understatement. This doesn't count as a vacation. It's a waste of time, a chore. My parents' family is nearby, and we just had to come see them. Ugh! If they're your parents' family, doesn't that make them your family too?
I guess.
That's a pretty good reason to come by. Did you want to go somewhere else? No! Jeremy crossed his arms with a huff. He turned away. They should have gone by themselves, since they cared so much and left me home. But I'm not allowed to be by myself. It makes no sense. They're the ones who don't know how to do anything, and I'm the kid? This is where I use this line so often. And this is when I talk about this scene to Hound and how some of my favorite lines exist. This is one of my favorite lines. The who peed in your cereal this morning. Because at this point, fuck being understanding, right? This is honestly my answer every single time. Who peed in your cereal this morning? Jeremy's lip curled up, his face contorted from anger to horror.
That's disgusting.
Why would you think of something like that? It's disgusting.
Sheesh.
It's just an expression. He took a deep breath. You thought for one hopeful second that maybe he was calming himself down. He was not. So what? You're putting in people's heads. I don't want to have to think about it, and someone brainless might decide it's a good idea and actually do it. There's some real stupids out there in the world, You're all living proof of that. Hey! We're not stupid. How we feeling, Right? I can't leave. I have to pick an answer. So you know what? Yeah. I don't get the option to leave. I do not get the option to throw him in the ocean. Shut up. You first. You turned to Cove, lowering your voice. The two of you aren't that similar. Jeremy must have good hearing, though, because he caught the private exchange and stopped.
Stupid.
Oh, of course we're not similar. My eyebrows aren't stupid. Cove's cheeks flushed crimson at the insult. You couldn't be sure if it was out of embarrassment or anger. Maybe both. Come on. And again, we have, that stick removed pronto. So the ones that kind of work in the tit for tat range is what? Cove's wavy eyebrows are cool. How can you say that when you've got a bowl cut? And then apologize to Cove right now, you can't treat people. And this one, this one arguably yes, but we will go with the that one, but he has an annoying retort because he's annoying of it. He isn't. How can you say that when you've got a bowl cut? Yep, it's embarrassing and awful, but my parents made me. I won't have to have it when I'm older. I don't know what he's gonna do with those things except maybe shave them off. He probably should. I bet he'd look less dumb with no eyebrows. And this is where you can technically lunge towards him or just roll your eyes at the annoyance of this kid. So, like, you can cross your arms, you can roll your eyes, you can shake your head, you can pat Cove on the shoulder, you can laugh. Oh yeah, no. Beat him up. You lunged towards Jeremy. With your fist balled, you made a quick step forward. Do we only want to spook him, or do we want to actually, like everyone's concerned right now as to how we're reacting? With the hair, I feel like this is an appropriate answer. I've never wanted to punch a kid so bad. Yeah, but like, also, do you really want to beat someone? I feel like spooking him's probably the appropriate answer, okay? Like, you can want to punch someone and not actually punch them, okay? No! I'm not beating up a kid. That's me. It doesn't earn you brownie points with the boys. Okay? But you only wanted to spook. He'd made it clear that words wouldn't work, leaving you to resort to action even if it was just for show. Derek and Cove jumped in to stop you before you reached him. They each grabbed you by the arm. Still, Jeremy instinctively stumbled backwards. He practically fell over. If that's all you can do about what I'm saying, it's just proving I'm right. You're brainless. Jeremy continued to defensively fume and throw out insults. The reaction he got was definitely worth any consequence. Ow, what is wrong with you? Instead of taking offense, Jeremy only parroted Derek's words back in a nasally voice.
Wow, what is wrong with you?
Wow. This is dumb. Jeremy stuck out his tongue and skulked away, throwing more sand everywhere as he went. You watched him go, hunched over, until he became a speck in your vision. Silence reigned in its wake. The three of you tried to process what just happened. Can't believe it. What a mean kid. Derek wasn't kidding, and by the sound of those earlier complaints, the new boy Jeremy was going to be in the area for at least a little while this summer. Derek sighed in dismay, plopping onto the ground. You followed, and Cove did too shortly after. There wasn't much else to do.
This sucks.
Sucks. I was hoping we could meet someone fun, hang out maybe. He shook his head. After a moment, he slowly turned to you with a hopeful expression. But, you know what would really improve the day? What? He didn't respond. Instead, he used a hand to point right at the fruit arrangement that you were still holding. You'd completely forgotten about it during the mini-drama that unfolded. You had gotten used to its weight. Glancing over to Cove, you knew he was eyeing the fruit too. He must want some too. Right? I've had a garbage morning. I dealt with a mean kid. I almost got into a fight. I'm eating fruit. Why fruit? Why not? Let's eat. Derek perked up immediately at your work. He reached out for a skewer, hesitating slightly once he was inches away.
Are you sure?
You nodded. With an eager grin, he plucked out a prime rope. Cove grabbed one for himself after that. Only you were without a skewer of your own. All right. Pineapple, grape, strawberry, melon. Gotta pick one. One. Pineapple is usually my go-to, but like, that's also because I love pineapple. Grapes, strawberries, or melon. 1 or 3. Then I'm going pineapple. I love pineapple, so I'm going pineapple. The pineapple was cut to look like a flower. It was the obvious choice. Derek ate a pineapple skewer enthusiastically, finishing it within moments. This is amazing!
It's nice.
It tastes pretty nice, and this fruit kebab thing is fun. Hey, you two remember the Land Before Time? That fruit thing makes me think of it. The dinosaurs all like the leaves that were shaped like stars. Yeah, tree stars.
Yeah.
Yeah, chomping leaves look so delicious when they did. Tree stars sweet, right? And there was that scene with the pretty trees and all the dinosaurs came in and picked everything off them until there was nothing. That's us right now. Awesome. I love this line too. Do you think everything tastes better when they're shaped like stars? Like, I love that movie. I didn't like that when that movie is for kids. That movie is not for kids, and if you do not cry at that movie, there is something wrong. Usually I go 1 or 6. Because 6 is funny, 1 is, everyone enjoy. So, if no one answers. while I wait for the potential of answer. Bullshit. I already told you it was 1 or 6. I'm not. No, bullshit. Bullshit. I call bullshit on. Nope. Nope, you don't get that answer. So you know what? You get the joke. Yeah. Do you think things taste better when they're shaped like stars? He snickered. Not everything, but it probably is. The three of you continued like this for the next. Eventually, the display was buried. It looked weird, devoid of fruit. We weren't supposed to eat all of it. Eating it hadn't really made you feel better, or eating the fruit did make you feel better. I don't know. Fruit tends to make me feel better. It did help make you feel better. Derek was right. It was so good that you were already brightening up from the earlier drama. Hey, Valaria. Yeah? The two of your eyes met casually. Were you seriously gonna hit that guy? No. I just knew we'd get all scared over.
Phew.
Phew, that was pretty bad, Valaria.
I mean,
I thought it was.
Ugh.
Wait, you're both crazy people. You knew when Derek said things like that, it wasn't serious. He liked you in code. Yeah. Derek then leaned back on his arms. He contemplated the sky with a content grin. So, are you both ready for summer break? If someone's supposed to be ready for a break, or you, I'm not sure. No, or yet. Are we ready for summer break? I mean, I remember summer break. I was like, are we? Yes, we're in agreement. Cool on you. Wish I could say the same. It feels like there's a lot to plan for. And what about you, Cove? Are you ready? I think that depends. Before you could say anything else, the light atmosphere was shattered.
Hey!
Hey, Valaria! You glanced over your shoulder to see your sister. She strode closer and closer, appearing none too pleased. I've been looking everywhere, all over for you. Ma said you and Cove ran off with the thing Mr. Holden brought for us. She leered over at you with arms folded. So, where is it? Well, it's gone. What do you mean, gone? For us, right? Totally. Brought for me. Bitch, it was my fruit, right? You moved over to the side to face her completely. She zeroed in on the bouquet in your hand, which was now populated exclusively with skewers dripping in tiny juice and flecks of leftover fine fruit pea. Her mouth dropped open and the tone of her voice rose.
What?
Seriously, Valaria? What were you thinking? It was supposed to be for all of us at home. She glanced over at Cove, who sat beside you, and continued mocking. Even if you are the most important person in the household to the delivery boy, this was up to his dad. It seemed everybody was in a mood to tease you and Cove. Within moments, Cove's cheeks flushed red. He picked up the hem of his shirt, suddenly finding it very interesting. He'd always became nervous when Elizabeth would strike at your relationship. To throw a hand on your path, you know? Like, we were hungry? 2? No! I want to get along with my sibling, just because you don't get along with your siblings. No, I will apologize because she's not wrong. You know what? Fun. Really? Really, seagulls? You're gonna blame seagulls. Totally, seagulls. You know what? Fine. It wasn't us. A seagull came down and ate it all while we weren't looking. Elizabeth narrowed her eyes, not at all deceived by your response. Oh no, I think I hear the mean kid coming back. We better get out of here. Elizabeth blinked, confused, and looked around.
What?
What kid? I don't see anyone. Derek did not bother explaining. He just launched to his feet and ran off. Cove hopped up too, gladly taking the opportunity to exit the scene. He followed after Derek, but he sent a look to you from over his shoulder. You turned to watch Elizabeth. She stared back, brows raised. Not there. Why? You ran. Without a word, you two got up to your feet and bolted down the beach. Unimpressed, Elizabeth rolled her eyes.
So immature.
So immature. She shook her head as she walked towards the house, not bothering whatsoever to follow. Meanwhile, the three of you made it back to the shoreline. Derek pumped his fist, grinning in triumph. We escaped and shall live to see another day. Victor, we have exactly what we should keep moving. Yeah, for now at least. Victory, and my moms are going to be so mad when Elizabeth tells this story. Which the last one is the most like true statement to some degree. But do we celebrate our victory? Fair enough. Victory! You threw your arms up in celebration. You chuckled together, walking further down the beach side by side. You definitely wanted to stay outside a little while longer. You had gotten a bit of a scolding from your moms for not saving any of Mr. Holden's gift for Elizabeth, but you didn't get any real punishment over it. Instead, while you were out with the boys, Elizabeth returned home to share the news. The three of them went to get dessert on their own. It was declared even by your parents when everyone got back and the event was settled. After that, Derek had rejoined you in the living room. He'd elected to stay outside for extra time so that you could face the potential scolding from your family without him witnessing the embarrassment. Derek was a guy you could... The dust had settled from the prior events and your moms went back to their room, so Derek was just taking it easy until his dad arrived. Mr. Suarez was meant to be there any minute. There are certain lines I do not have to say because they're held in the... Derek preferred not to sit, instead took long, lazy strides in a circle around the edge of the tub. Hands behind his back and head angled towards the ceiling, Derek looked like he might have been puzzling out a crime. He probably made half-dozen rounds when the solid knock struck your front door. That stopped Derek in his tracks. Dad's here. The both of you had stepped towards the door in unison. You arrived first, since you had half a room head start. When you pulled open only a tiny crack, someone zoomed in past. The breakneck flash of the human was still entirely recognizable. It was Derek's littlest brother, Nicholas Suarez. He shouted in triumph, "Meet the 6-year-old. Derek! Derek! We're here!" He was only 6, the tiniest kid around. On his heels came in the middle Suarez. Jorge. Or George. Actually, he's George. Yes, the middle Suarez son, George. Nicolas, we have to stay in the car. We're going home. We're not here to play. He was 10 and his patience was being tested. The youngest one frantically shook his head. It made his hair even messier than it already was. Nicholas's hair was as wild and free as he was. Hair clips in his parents' minivan could not contain that energy, which might have been surprising considering he loved cars enough to wear a shirt covered in them. But you knew Nicholas loved Derek even more. Staying right where he was inside your house at the even older brother's side, Nicholas gave Derek a hug. "Came to get you." Derek bent down to scoop Nicholas into his arms with a fond squeeze, though he kept his face tilted up to make eye contact with George.
Hey.
Hey, bros. Mr. and Mrs. Suarez. This is Mr. Suarez and Mr. and Mrs. Suarez. Side by side, Mr. and Mrs. Suarez. The resemblance between the parents and their children was clear. Derek and George were the spitting image of their father. George was even sometimes called Junior, while Nicholas was a mommy.
Good evening.
No, good evening. I love Mr. Suarez. He's just a...
Hello.
Hello. You'll have to forgive the three-ring circus visiting town. The boys just had to come. I love seeing them. Don't worry about that. You're welcome here. Hi. I love seeing the boys, you know. I like the idea of him having, like, you know, younger brothers. It's just adorable, you know. I normally go for 4. I figure, you know, offer the option up to anyone who, you know, would like to say anything. 4. Yeah, you know. I love seeing the boys. While Nicholas continued to cuddle with his favorite person, which you said got enough of his attention for a sweet smile to go your way. You're a sweet.
Goodbye.
But we can't stay. Thank you for letting Derek visit and tell your mothers I said hello. Okay. Come on, boys, all 4 of you now. Let's get the Green family their house. Coming.
Yes, Mom.
Yes, Mom. Half the group trotted forward with only a word. They went past Mrs. Suarez and out the door. She watched them go before surveying the situation with the most troubles. Nicholas was just bouncing around Derek as if he hadn't even heard his parents. Derek and his mom looked down with identical expressions of exhaustion, with tinged affection. When an opportunity opened up between the hops, Derek carefully took hold of Nicholas's small hand. Let's go to the car, Nico. You can sit next to me. Thrilled by the promise, Nicholas let out another cheer.
Let's go!
Yeah, let's go to the car.
Mrs. Suarez left it there, trusting her eldest, and went to join Mr. Suarez and George. Nicholas gripped Derek's black wristband with his free hand, stretching it outwards in the eager attempt to lead his bigger brother along. Derek stumbled forward with a chuckle, mostly to protect his band from being pulled too far rather than Nicholas actually having the strength to move. But he made sure not to forget you. Derek said his goodbye from over his shoulder. Bye, gal! Do we say goodnight? Do we stand there awkwardly? You know? I'm a good night versus goodbye person. I'll just go with the nice generic. Good night. After their prompt entrance, yeah. You know. After their prompt entrance and equally a quick exit, the whole Suarez family was on their way home. We get to meet more characters. We're not done yet! You, however, didn't have anywhere to go. It was late enough that the rest of the day would be spent inside your own house. That was a while ago. Later that night, you found yourself seated near the kitchen counter. Cordless phone! Your fingers drummed on the surface as you waited. Your gaze entrained on the phone. You were waiting on a call tonight, specifically from your cousin Leander. You didn't want to miss it accidentally. Your uncle, aunt, and Lee used to live many hours away. Your families only saw each other a few times a year for big occasions. A while back, though, they'd moved and were closer to you than ever before. You now hung out regularly. With school being out, you were positive she was going to want to come over a lot. The two of you were the same age and got along well. She used to be really fond of Elizabeth, too, but now that your sister had become allergic to interacting with her own family, it tended to just be you and Lee who's been. Do we want a large group of friends? I don't like a large group of friends. I've never really had a large group of friends, even extroverted. I just not a huge fan of like a large group of friends. And we can collect more friends in the story. We will collect more friends. But like this is, you know, the equivalency of at school. 2. You want all the friends? I hate the word social. Being family helped make you close, but you had a lot of girlfriends. You often gravitated towards other girls and befriended them pretty easily. Do we have many non-girlfriends? Do we just have a lot of friends? I'm on hound. Do you want to answer? I thought so. You also had a lot of non-girl friends. What kind of gender someone was didn't seem to make a difference who you got along with. The shrill ringtone announced the incoming call. You jumped before grabbing the receiver and pressing it to your ear. Are we being... Hello? Who is this? Lee, finally. Green residence, Valari speaking. Are we formal? Are we not? Like, we know it's Lee, so I feel like, you know, just the teenagerness. Lee, finally.
Hi!
Sorry about the wait, Valaria. It took forever to get the phone away from my mom. That's okay. There was static on the end, as if Lee was shifting wherever she was. So, can you believe that school's actually over? I thought it'd never be done. Lee's awesome. Now we don't have to do any of that boring stuff and we get to hang out whenever we want. Speaking of hanging out, Lee, can you wait a second? Just let me head to my room.
Oh yeah.
You got up from your seat at the counter. Luckily, the phone was wired, so you didn't have to worry about the cords tying you. Your mom's had a rule about not moving the phone unless a call was in progress, which is why you'd been sat by its cradle waiting for Lee to call. Unfair, made sense, didn't like it, but it had to be that. You know? Are we thinking mom is moms are unfair? Alright. You know, fair enough. You didn't like it, but it had to be that way. You weren't the only person here. If anyone could take the phone anywhere at any time, it'd be an even bigger hassle. You could easily imagine the receiver having a new forever home in Elizabeth's locked room. But now that Lee had called, it was okay for you to go upstairs to your bedroom and talk to her. You made your way up the stairs smiling. After you had arrived, you shut the bedroom door and firmly behind you. You took a seat on your bed. All right, I'm here.
Cool.
Cool. Hey, did you know that girl down the street from me has her own phone now? A cell phone. She doesn't have to wait for someone else to stop using it or anything. Oh, really? You thought of someone having a phone that was all their own seemed unbelievable to you. I sit here with my cell phone. Right? I wish I had one too, but my parents said I couldn't get one into my own phone until I'm more grown up. I wish they'd change their minds. We could call each other every single day and no one would be able to stop us. How great would that be? Really great, but I wouldn't I still be using a home phone? Too bad that's so far away. Oh, like really great, right? Absolutely phenomenal. Two. I mean, fair answer, but caught up in teenage excitement, I'm sorry. I have to go as a teenage girl. I have to teenage girl this one. Really great! We could even stay up late talking about whatever we wanted. Lee sighed thoughtfully in the receiver. At least they said I could have it someday. I can't wait. She sighed dramatically. Ugh, I bet I'm not gonna get one until I'm all the way in college. Squeezing the phone between your shoulder and your ear, you puffed up your pillows and made yourself more comfortable. It was strange to think of a time when normal school would be over and you'd have to choose whether or not to go to college. School was such a big part of your life, right? How smart do we want to be? So there's studying didn't come easily to you, though you tried hard. You worked about as hard as most people and got pretty average grades as a result. You never tried much, but you still didn't do that bad. You didn't bother at all at school and your grades reflected that. Everything came easily or you worked hard for your excellent grades. So I'm gonna try a roll. Personally, I tend to try and give myself higher grades because screw it, if I can be in an imaginary world with imaginary realities, might as well enjoy the imaginary, thought process that is me having phenomenal flipping grade, Like, I personally go with phenomenal. I rolled. I'm gonna give it a 5 count, and if no one says anything, I'm going for, good grade. 4. Everything in your classes came easily to you. You soaked up information as naturally as a sponge absorbed. You had yet to worry about school being hard for you. You felt a lot of pressure to maintain your high grades you had. You hoped to do just as well this year, but it wouldn't be a big deal if they dropped some. You were confident your grades would remain great, or you had no plans of getting excellent scores. Personally, if we want to be extroverted and confident, exactly. You were confident your grades would remain great. You could definitely keep the streak. Yeah, you tried to sound engaged, but your mind had decided to go back to school despite this season. Lee knew you too well to be.
What's up?
You sound so spacey. What's up? Just thinking about school. Lee groaned. Are you thinking about how we don't have to think about it because it's summer? Because that's what I'm doing. It's so awful, I hate going. Come on, it's too scary not to think about. Let's make a petition for more vacation time. Or I'm looking forward to going back. I'm of the second mind. Petition for more vacation. Just across the board everywhere. Let's make a petition for more vacation time. Yeah, everybody in class would sign it. Maybe some of the teachers too. Though, I guess school isn't all the way bad. You can do some good things there. You just can't do more when school's out. Honestly, you can select all of these. So I'm probably going to, because it is the easiest way to hang out with people who aren't in the neighborhood, because there's not a ton of people in your neighborhood. So it's the easiest way to hang out with people not in the neighborhood. If I didn't go to school, I'd never meet anybody new. No one really comes here. You can be learning things, new things can be cool. You are a smart person. I just wish everyone did okay with how they taught the things, not just some people.
Me too.
Generally speaking, you have been so far a fairly athletic person, and screw it, you can enjoy gym. Gym is pretty great though. There was all sorts of sports stuff during gym. Oh yeah, it can be fun sometimes. And the cafeteria lunches at my school could be better than they had any right to be. I actually went to a school that had really good lunch, so I'm going. Lucky, mine's boring, but that was all. And that's pretty much everything that's good about school. Okay, point taken.
All right.
Now, I decree the topic of school is officially closed. We have our School interests always way more big than they should have been. Oh no, like I had to play, like my high school had 8 different stations, never mind the school store that you could buy whole tubs of Ben & Jerry's at, and all sorts of different things. There was the cafe, which had like fruit parfaits and popcorn and all that sort of. You had the salad bar, you had pizza, you had the main menu thing, you had pasta, you had the build your own burger station in mine. It was insanity. We have to talk about this summer first before we can start plotting the rest of our lives. I've got some plans already. Ooh, tell me. I'm gonna visit my cousin. You chuckled, of course. What's something that you want to do? The first thing that comes to your head. All right. This helps determine who we are as a human and what we enjoy doing. So, do we want to spend time with people? Do we got new art supplies? Are we going to be reading, movies and TV, beach time, or just nothing at all? Personally, I tend to go like art supplies, reading and stuff like that, you know, art or movies. I'm going art supplies. I love, you know, getting new art supplies. I've got some new art supplies. I can't wait to try them out. I can't wait to see what you make. If you actually pursue the art thing, it can actually become super important moving story. There's a, like I said, no matter which way you go, what you do impacts everything. You leaned back in your bed, settling in as you continued chatting with your friend. Even though it hadn't been that long since you saw her and you'd be seeing her soon, you found plenty to talk about. For one, the events of the day. You sat up straighter. I was with Cove and Derek today and we met a new kid. Like, at your neighborhood? Mm-hmm. His parents are visiting family, so it sounds like he'll be around for a little while. I don't know how long. What was he like? Mean. Flat out. Only one I ever do. Mean. He kept snapping when all we were trying to do was talk to him. He just kept being rude to everyone. But especially Cove. It was awful. I don't think I want to meet him. You want a boy to stay away before even meeting him? That's an unexpected. Your cousin was pretty popular with the boys who knew her. She seemed happy enough to have him around until they started to. Hey, who are you to talk? You get practically all your attention to boys. Or maybe just boy. I see how much you like Cove. Excuse. Not just Cove. I don't give him all my attention. Lee laughed at your denial, deeply amused. Even though she couldn't see, you shook your head at her, grinning to yourself. There was a stomping noise approaching your room, heralding the arrival of your irritated older sister. She flung the door open, a frown etched on her face.
Come on.
How long are you gonna hog the phone? Glancing at your watch, you realized that your quick call had gone on much longer than anticipated. Elizabeth held out her hand, the other one lodged on her. She noticed the realization on your face. Times. With a sigh, you said your goodbyes. Gotta go. I'll see you soon. Sorry for being so long. I'm still using it. No. Again, I'm trying to get along with her. And I understand the waiting for the phone. So I'm picking this one, Hound. With a sigh, you said your goodbyes to Lee. Lee, I have to go now.
Bye.
Okay, see you soon. Tell Elizabeth and your moms I said hi too. Sharing a phone is just... You're still using it. Yeah, well, you know, sometimes you have to learn how to share. You had barely pressed the end call button when Elizabeth whisked the handset from your fingers and began dialing someone new as she strode out of the room. Your mom's voice called from downstairs. Hey, has anyone seen the phone? I'm using it, said Elizabeth. With that, she shut your door behind you. Silence was left. There was only one way to end your first day of summer break. Sometime later, it had gotten dark outside and you laid in your bed, wide awake. Your window rattled all of a sudden, startling you badly. You flinched, staring over it with furrowed brows. From your vantage point, you only saw the moon and an open sky. You were confused, scared, annoyed, or curious. I'm a curious kind of person, so I'm probably just gonna go like curious, like what the frack is. What had caused that noise? Like, we were very curious as a child too, so I feel like it feels like it, you know, yes, hunt those ghosts. Cocking your head, you sat up and moved closer to the window. You wanted to get to the bottom of this. To your utter shock, your gaze was met by a pair of familiar ocean blue. Oop. You squinted. Yep, Cove was right outside your window. Your house was very angular and some parts stuck out further than others, so theoretically it wouldn't be hard to climb around on. Still, just because someone could didn't mean you expected it to ever happen. To his credit, Cove was doing just fine. His feet were braced against a section of the wall that jutted out, his arms flexing with the effort to keep him upright. He easily lifted a hand and waved at you from the other side of the glass. You hurriedly opened the window. Cove climbed over the ledge, releasing a breath once he was safely inside. Hi, Valaria. Yes, again, you can tease. You can tease multiple. Alright, yeah, totally. Letting boys in at night, totally. Alright, so we have what are you doing? What's up, Romeo? This sure is a surprise, but you're always welcome here. Is everything okay? What happened? You're lucky I didn't start screaming, and amazing, my dreams have come true. This one and this one are teeth, and I love. This one and this one are kind of chill. 2 or 6. You know what? Then, what's up, Romeo? Ha, I know that it's late, but I didn't know what else to do. If I rang the doorbell, I knew your moms would have answered, and they'd just make me go home. I didn't really want to explain why I was coming over anyway. I didn't want to talk about it. Well, besides with you, I mean, but that's why I did that. As unexpected as this was, for a touch, Cove felt like he could tell wrong. He might have tried calling or something, except my dad was on the phone. Cove suddenly looked very cross. Dad, he was talking to my mom, still is, probably. You raised your eyebrows. Both had eavesdropped on his parents' phone conversation? I mean, I'm not gonna comment. Because I've overheard conversations before that maybe I shouldn't have. Or just into conversations, you know? So I'm not commenting. No comment. There were other things to talk about. Are you gonna stay with your mom for a while again? Every year, Cove was sent off to live with his mom for a year. When it happened varied. Sometimes he would go during winter break, but usually he went during the summer. Even though it was hard news when you found out he was leaving and you missed seeing him, that you understood. To your surprise, however, he shook his head. That's what I thought too, but no, that's not what they were saying. My dad asked my mom not to have me leave this year. He said she should come stay with us here instead. You waited for him to continue and he didn't. The conversation abruptly dropped off. You couldn't help but stare at Cove. There was a complicated mix of expressions on his face. What did your mom say? She told him she'd come. I know she's coming soon before school starts. You had heard Cove talk about his mom a lot over the years. He'd tell you about his memories or what happened when he was visiting her. Still, it was one thing to hear about someone, another to actually meet. Very soon, you were going to see Cove's mom in person. You were taken aback by the news, so you can only imagine how Cove felt. You looked over at him. He was pacing across your room, his features painted with red. Before, they'd barely stayed in the same room long enough to have lunch. Now we're gonna be all together again, the 3 of us, after all this time, just for a few weeks. I know I should probably be happy they can talk to each other. I'm still not. I'm just confused and freaked out, and I feel really bad for feeling this way. Glory, it's just so... His fist tightens and his eyes became misty. I shouldn't keep getting like this. It's been a long time already, and I'm not a little kid. Though he wouldn't meet your eyes, he knew he was waiting for you to say something. Honestly, I generally go for the first one, but what I'm actually going to do is I remembered exactly how long this transition scene is, and it's almost 4:45, so while I love and I'd love to keep going, I'm saving. I'm opening my window. I'm quitting, and we can finish this next Friday with the middle section and the next section, where we will meet Cove's mom, actually, which is super fun. So that's actually going to be a lot of fun. It's getting very warm where I am. I'm almost at 4 hours. I don't normally do over 3, so I need to be done. So while all of you are wonderful, I have to finish a ton of prep work for an event tomorrow, so I'm gonna go do that. So until then, I will see you next Tuesday with the Sims Norse Gods Generation Challenge, Generation 3, and the Sims 4 at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And until then, thank you for following along. Please remember to like, follow, share, and subscribe, and thank you for joining us here at Cafe Con Flora.